The FBI raided John Bolton's house today over suspected classified documents. So it seems like everybody that's ever been in the federal government has decided that classified documents are actually their documents and they're going to take them home. So we'll talk about that. Ghislaine Maxwell said Epstein didn't kill himself. So that adds her voice to the chorus of people that have said the same thing. We'll get into that a little bit. Kilmar Obrego Garcia has been released from federal custody in Tennessee. He's been sent to Maryland, but he has not been deported. I don't know why, so we'll complain about that. And then the feds kind of decided they're going to go ahead and nationalize intel, like 10% of it. I don't know that that's a good idea, but maybe it is. We'll talk about it. But before we get into all of this, I want you to head on over to timcast.com, right? And then join the Discord, because if you join the Discord, you can actually come to the after show and you can call into the after show. So we've got a bunch of rooms in the Discord. You got a bunch of like-minded individuals, people that are getting into all kinds of cool stuff. You've got podcasts, after shows, before shows, all kinds of stuff. People have actually gotten married in the Discord. So go ahead on over to timcast.com and join the Discord. And then head on over to castbrew.com and buy some coffee. All right, we've got Josie's Signature Blend. We've got Ian's Graphene Dream. We've got, what do we got? We got Phil's 2 weeks till Christmas, which I think is delicious, so you can go buy some of that. We've got K-Cups. We've got everything you need to go ahead and get a ton of caffeine in your body to get you ready for the day if you want that. And even if you don't want caffeine, we have Sleepy Joe for the decaf. All right, so head on over to Cast Brew, get yourself some coffee. And then I want you to smash the like button, share the show with everyone you know, with all your friends. But joining us to talk about these things and everything else is William Wolfe.
Hey, Phil, good to be here today. First time, long time listener, first time caller. Great to be in the studio. I'm William Wolfe. I'm the executive director of the Center for Baptist Leadership. We're trying to make Baptists great again, make America Christian again. I want to give a shout out to my wonderful wife, Lauren, and my 3 boys, nice. Evan, Jack, and Daniel, who I think are watching live at home right now.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us.
William, you spent a lot of time in D.C., like you've been deep within years.
10 years in Washington, D.C., worked for 3 different members of Congress, worked for Heritage Action, and was a political appointee in the first Trump administration at state and DOD. I say I did 45 for 45. I was in for almost all 4 years. Honor of a lifetime.
Good to meet you, man. I'm Ian Crossland. Happy to be here. I am an actor, social media entrepreneur. Been into social media since 1998. I was realizing last night when I started building email chains for my high school friends in college to keep us all connected through social media. Then we went to classmates.com. We got into friendster.com, MySpace, Facebook, YouTube. The list goes on. Now let's make our own. Libby.
I'm Libby Emmons. I'm here from the Post-Millennial and Human Events. Glad to be here. Let's get into it.
All right. So we're going to start off with this about John Bolton from the AP. FBI searches home and office of ex-Trump National Security Advisor John Bolton. The FBI on Friday searched the Maryland home and Washington office of former Trump administration National Security Advisor John Bolton as part of a criminal investigation into the potential mishandling of classified information, a person familiar with the matter said. Bolton, who emerged as an outspoken critic of Donald Trump after being fired in 2019 and fought with the first Trump administration over a scathing book he wrote documenting his time in the White House, was not in custody Friday and has not been charged with any crimes, said the person who is not authorized to discuss the investigation by name and spoke to the Associated Press on the condition of anonymity. The search is seemingly the most significant public step in the Justice Department has taken against a perceived enemy of the president, are likely to elicit fresh concerns that the Trump administration is using its law enforcement powers to target the Republican votes. I can barely even say that without chuckling, considering how they targeted Donald Trump when he was out of office. They go on to say they come as the Trump administration has moved to examine the activities of other critics, including by authorizing a grand jury investigation into the origins of the Trump Russia probe that dogged Trump for much of his first term, and as FBI and Justice Department leaders signal their loyalty to the president. So this is, I mean, it's nice to see, right? If he's actually violated the law, which they're, doing an investigation that's perfectly on the up and up. It's nice to see that the Trump administration, the DOJ, is actually applying pressure to people that, have been not just critical, but, they've had questionable dealings with the administration previously. Do you guys think that this is actually going to materialize in anything, considering that Bolton himself is not under arrest, or I'm not even sure if there's anything more than just searching his house now?
You want to take it away?
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'd say, John Bolton's never met an invasion he didn't like until this morning when the FBI showed up at his home, right? And really what's happening here is they're picking up, this Trump administration is picking up on a former Trump administration Department of Justice investigation into Bolton's potential leakage, handling of classified information in his book. And I just have to say the irony is really thick, because when Trump was getting, raided and prosecuted for his handling of classified information, which he's the president and he can do, John Bolton said, well, Trump is very careless with this information. So I guess we're about to find out who's really careless now.
Yeah, if I understand correctly, this is pertaining to, like William said, his book.
Right.
That was questionable in the first place when the book was released, right, Abby?
Right. I mean, there were some concerns early on. This is something Jack Posobiec and I were talking about today. There were concerns early on in 2020 that when he released his book, perhaps he had used classified information to construct that book, which is called The Room Where It Happens, which I think it's funny because he basically ripped that off from Hamilton, because that's Aaron Burr's song in the show. I love the show, but whatever. So there was concerns about that it had been leaked, and while it was still in pre-publication, leaked to the New York Times. And there were also concerns that he was every night apparently taking notes from his classified documents at the office and taking those notes home. So I think that it's certainly interesting to see what will happen with this. There's also arguments to be made that maybe there are too many classified documents. This is something that we've heard Tucker Carlson say over the years. Maybe there's too many classified documents. But also, I was watching MSNBC today looking for something, and this woman was talking about how, it's rich for Trump to be talking about classified documents since he had absconded with them. And she didn't mention at all that, of course, there's the Presidential Records Act, and the president can take classified documents, and every president has taken classified documents. I mean, there's even the Bill Clinton socks case about how, the president can keep classified documents in his sock drawer if he so chooses. But yeah, I think that I think it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. And also, this is not a new case. So to say that this is an intentional political prosecution now, this was a case that the Trump DOJ brought in 2020, and the Biden DOJ dropped it.
That's right. Yeah.
It's like bringing it back.
When Bolton's book was coming out, they made a pass at blocking it, right? And it didn't go through. The judge didn't grant them that. But Bolton's book, not only was it incredibly negative towards the president. Again, Bolton thinks something like diplomacy is a dirty word. Right? He'd rather drop bombs instead of have talks. But this does raise the question of classified information. Classified information is this sort of currency in Washington, D.C., right? Everybody loves to get and leak classified information, and everybody does it. I mean, both sides do it. Republicans do it. Democrats do it. And how it's going to be weaponized is a question here. But Bolton is, again, coming face to face with the fact that no matter how much he wants to be, he is not and will never be the president. And Donald Trump has been and is.
Right.
You guys mentioned the overclassification. I think that's kind of typical of D.C., if I understand correctly. And it's because they don't want people to ask questions, or they at least don't want to have to answer questions. So the more the bureaucracy can actually get classified, the better they like it, because they can just, brush off questions they don't have to answer. And then if there's ever a time where their feet are held to the fire, they can just say, well, look, it's classified. I can't talk about it. And it's not my fault. I'm not trying to hide anything. It's just that this is classified information.
They also pulled Bolton's security clearance, and they did that in January, and so this administration is tightening things up. And I think that makes a lot of sense, because how sick are you of opening some story from the AP or wherever else that says unnamed, unauthorized sources, familiar with the matter, who are unauthorized to speak on it. And so they're speaking with anonymity. Like, this is something that, when you're reporting on things, you keep looking at this and you're like, why do I believe you and your weird fake sources? Who are these people?
Does this turn classified information, or does the amount of classified information and how readily it's leaked by someone that just doesn't have to say their name, does that turn classified information into a currency? Does it make it something that people can look at and say, well, I can get favor with this particular media outlet or what have you? So,
well, yeah, not just a currency, but also a weapon. Like Libby was just saying, is that, they can use, Trump has been now in almost a decade-long battle against the deep state, who have primarily used intelligence agencies, so-called classified information, falsified classified reports, the whole Russiagate hoax, to attack him and undercut him. And so, look, I trust that Bondi and Kash Patel are doing the right thing here. They wouldn't just be doing this to try to get back at John Bolton. Of all the bad actors out there, he's a bad one, but there's worse ones. So I would assume they have a legitimate reason to pick up on this investigation. But that said, it is nice to see the Trump administration going after the really bad actors from the first admin.
To your point, like, as far as John Bolton as a bad actor, it's really more people saying they have a policy difference, different approach than John Bolton, who, yes, you made it clear that he's a hawkish kind of guy, and he thinks that flexing American military might is the best type of foreign policy. But that's different to someone like, say, Schiff, who was literally lying about Donald Trump, lying about what information was out there regarding the Russia probe. Lying to not just to make people think that Trump was guilty of something that he hadn't done, but to actually try to get some kind of legal ramifications on the president.
Along that vein, you'd think that maybe that classified information, if it's accidentally taken home, would be treated much less of a crime than if someone's maliciously utilizing it to or using fake classifying something that's not real or saying they got,
Do you think that the stuff that we've heard has been accidentally taken home generally? We've got.
I don't know. I don't know with the Biden in his
I don't think
garage.
Bolton does anything accidentally.
Yeah,
I think a lot of it has been people want to write their books, right? Like Obama took stuff home to write his book. Biden took stuff home to write his book. This guy Bolton took stuff home, probably to write his book.
Well,
and I think that's a lot of what it is.
When stuff gets
this is how politicians get rich off their time in office. They get
selling secrets,
$1 million
they sell their
book
books.
deals.
Yeah.
If it's slipped in a box when they're carrying their stuff out and it lands in their garage, that is much less of a crime than someone that's using it.
With Biden, it was boxes and boxes of documents. It wasn't like just one classified document and then everything else was fine.
What was it with Trump at Mar-a-Lago?
It was stuff that he took home. But he was the president. He has the right to declassify things, and presidents take stuff home.
Yeah,
That's like what presidents do. And then what happened was the FBI, when they were framing up their case, they literally framed up their case. They put in cover sheets. They took all of this stuff and organized it in specific ways for their own purposes and took photographs of it. They were essentially tampering with evidence to try and sway the public toward the idea that Trump had absconded illegally with classified documents.
Like they unsecured the evidence and then took pictures of it in an unsecured state.
Yeah.
And claimed that he
they staged it to make it look worse than
it
it was. So
yeah.
I think 2 points on the Bolton thing, Phil. I think what's going on here with Bolton is not just policy differences. It's that Bolton used this information, I think, in a particularly malicious way to malign and undercut Donald Trump in his memoir. And in that sense, it's not just a policy difference, but it really is this ongoing and hopefully nearing an end struggle between the last gasp of the neocons who view Donald Trump, rightly so, as a repudiation of multi-decades of their failed foreign policy. It's not just a policy disagreement. They want to try to put a stake in the heart of MAGA if they can. And then the second thing I would say, too, is that, look, I appreciate that in many ways we're going tit for tat because we're either going to have equal justice under the law, or we're going to have a two-tier justice system where only Republicans or only Donald Trump, or only Trump's associates get prosecuted and persecuted for these things. So it's good to see it going the other way.
So to your point about trying to put a stake in the heart of MAGA or what have you, or a fight between MAGA and neocons, I think that it's fairly obvious that the neocons are just going over to the Democrat Party, whether it be John Bolton or Bill Kristol or any of the guys at the Lincoln Project. They're all Democrats now, and even if they haven't officially changed their parties, they're not just people like Joe Walsh. They're not just saying I'm a Republican or a conservative and Donald Trump isn't a conservative. They're actually promoting policies that the Democrats promote, right? And whether that have nothing to do with Donald Trump, right? Or that have nothing to do with conservatism. I saw Joe Walsh was posting about very pro immigration kind of things, like he's wrong to deport people. And when you're doing that kind of stuff as a Republican or as a former Republican, you're definitely not a Republican. It's not even a rhino situation. It's you're actually aligning with the Democrats because you don't like Donald Trump.
Yeah, well, David French voted for Kamala Harris to save conservatism from itself, whatever that means.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
All of them are
that
just
doesn't make any sense
going
at all.
down this path.
Yeah. And so I think that it's more about trying to stay in the good graces of the bureaucracy in Washington than it is about having any kind of principled ideas that are conservatively, based in conservatism.
Well, there's a huge sort of disagreement about what conservatism is at this point, right? Because you have what's conservatism? It's the idea of conserving things. And you have a situation now where most conservatives are really opposed to the conservation of American institutions that have been so poisoned by leftism that they're basically useless. And so the establishment conservatives are like, how could you say that there's something wrong with the Smithsonian? It's like, well, it says whiteness is the root of all evil. So kind of there's something wrong with it because it's racist.
Open your eyes to see.
Yes, exactly. But so I think that is a big split. And so the conservatives who are like, oh, Harvard is still amazing and it's still a bastion of American educational supremacy, which it kind of just isn't anymore. Those conservatives are going to align themselves with Kamala Harris. Those conservatives are going to align themselves with Forever Wars, which is how, all of these places stay funded anyway. And then the conservatives who want to actually preserve American supremacy and American exceptionalism and want to make sure that the United States is a prosperous home for our children's future, that's sort of a different kind of conservatism now than the history of what we've had for the past 50 years.
You want to conserve American republicanism, democratic republicanism, in that you want to preserve the ability of the people to pick their candidate. And Kamala Harris was thrust upon us by the industrial order. You would say the Democratic Party is not conservative at all, which is like LOL, of course. But if they call themselves neoconservative, it's just a fake word they're using to mask their behavior. If they're supporting a person that was put into power, like the superdelegate system in the Democratic Party is an aberration of our system. We're supposed to select our candidates. It is very weird.
Yeah.
It is very antithetical to the system right now. Anyway,
Libby, I think you make a great point there too that ties directly into the Bolton thing, and you can even see it in this recent back and forth between Chris Rufo and Jonah Goldberg, where Chris Rufo is saying, "Look, I'm going to use these tactics to subvert and destroy the left who have corrupted our institutions. And even if it's messy, even if it's ugly." And Jonah Goldberg was like, well, what exactly are you conserving here? And Rufo was like, well, what have you conserved? Which is a great point here. But I think, the old school neocon conservatism would have said something like, even if Bolton misused, mishandled, was careless with classified information because of MA norms and MA decency, you just have to ignore it. And Trump is like, no, if he broke the law, even if it looks like I'm quote unquote doing a little political retribution here, that's how they'll spin it, I'm going to do it. Like, I have the power and you don't. And so I think it really comes down to this new class of conservatives reckoning with how to rightly and in some ways unapologetically wield power for the good of the country.
Sure. And you also have a situation where Democrats under the Biden administration did all of these things. They persecuted Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro. They put these men in jail, and they went after who they perceived as political enemies of the Democrats repeatedly.
They went after
Trump
over
and over again. In Georgia, didn't they indict like 19 people?
Yep.
They claimed that the Trump campaign was like a RICO operation, that it was intended to be a criminal enterprise, which is absolutely insane. They couldn't even get Diddy on that. Like, that's ludicrous. And so I think that what's happening now is Trump is like, and the Trump administration, okay, you made new rules. We're going to follow the new rules. I wasn't in favor of the new rules that as they were made under Biden. I'm not super in favor of them now, but like, these are the rules now, you guys, you stupid idiots. And now you're going to suffer the consequences of your own stupid idiot rules.
88 felony charges at least pursued against Trump, many of them dropped, but others, prosecuted all the way through. Dozens of his associates rolled up over the last 4 years.
Not just associates, his lawyers, right?
Yeah.
Like in the United States, you're supposed to have you have the right to counsel, and they went after his lawyers for defending him.
That's crazy.
That's exactly. That's really, really. That's kind of where it stops being about just getting people that they believe broke the law, and they're literally punishing people for associating with Donald Trump. Specifically, again, his lawyers, which is a constitutionally protected right. You have the right to counsel, and when the federal government not goes after your lawyers and indicts your lawyers and accuses them of being part of a criminal enterprise just because they're defending you, that's going outside of what is constitutionally, what's constitutionally legal.
You know what really concerns me is that maybe not that this happened, but the potential that the Democratic Party or whoever did broke the law, incited, did these things, went after political opponents in order to incite the other side to do it back to them, so that we set a precedent now that as this new world order is coagulating, this is how the order is going to be. You step out of line, you're going to prison, whatever that line is, and I'm the one drawing the line.
That's the stuff that happens in banana republics. Like that was one of the things that people,
all of this.
yeah, like we heard about this, and you're right. You're totally right. Like I agree. That's what happens in third world countries. The United States used to be above that stuff, but the behavior of the Democrat Party in response to Donald Trump, actually, I think, honestly, in response to realizing that they didn't have a permanent hold on the federal government when Barack Obama.
It could have been anybody other than, it could have been anybody famous that. Of the Trump role, you're right.
The point that I'm making is I think that when Barack Obama was elected, the Democrats actually thought that they had a permanent
they thought they had it forever.
Yeah, they thought that forever they were going to have a one-party system. The Republicans were going to be a regional party, and the real game was going to be who's going to win the Democrat primary, because whoever wins that Democrat primary was automatically going to win. And when they realized they didn't, because Donald Trump won, they literally freaked out. And instead of saying, how do we adjust our message? How do we make sure that our next candidate is better than the Republican candidate? How do we do this? What they did was, we need to use the levers of power that we still have access to in the federal government. We need to use those levers of power to smear Donald Trump, do everything we can to put him in prison, and make anyone that would try to run against us fear for their freedom. Make sure that they understand, if you try to challenge us, we are going to put you in jail. And thank God it didn't work.
But
right?
they said
that was the goal.
that was the goal. They said that repeatedly. You could hear it. Joe Biden, thought that Trump would be in prison by the time the election rolled around.
Yep.
That a lot of people
Or somebody
thought
told
that.
Joe Biden to think that. Well, yes.
Somebody told him to say it. I don't know if he
Right.
thought anything. Like he was, poor man's a disaster. They should have taken better care of that fella in that family.
They should have
Can I go back and disagree with
just
Ian
the
for a
fact that
second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I don't think they're doing it. I don't think the Democrats did this to incite a reaction that would, give them the ability to do something as a reaction to your action. I think that this is how they've been fundamentally as a party for a long time. They've been a post-institutionalist party. They don't care about our institutions. They don't care about the procedures. They don't care about norms. They pretend to, but they care about power, just pure naked will to power stuff. And I think when Donald Trump ran and won in 2016 against all odds, it was a huge shock to the system. And they said, what do we need to do to make sure that this never happens again? And so they did everything they could to ensure that, some people might even say they released, a worldwide pandemic to get him out of office in 2020, and then the lawfare, and then the assassination attempt. And so now he's back against all odds in office again. And so I think that they are realizing actually for the first time that the tables are being turned on them, and they're not 100% sure what to do with it. So my point there is that I don't think it was they were trying to incite us to do the same thing. I think Republicans are waking up to really, and Trump in particular, not all Republicans, it's Trump. I mean, look at what happened when Trump got arrested in Georgia. I mean, there were a lot of Republicans who didn't stand with him, because a lot of Republicans were hoping that this actually was the end of the Trump.
Well, I think
they wanted him out too.
It was a mix of hoping that it was the end of Trump, but also being afraid, because there was a lot of people that had been Trump allies, and that had already been put in jail and had already been through the ringer. So I think you're right. They were cowardly, but it wasn't just that they were hoping that Trump was gone. It was that they were terrified of the Democrats.
Right. And so I think we are finally realizing that it's much more of a no holds barred knife fight than we ever thought it was. And Trump realizes that more than most Republicans do.
The liberal economic, it seems like the Democratic Party is the American, vestige of the liberal economic order, which is essentially run by, the British king. I don't know who's running it. The British emperor, I should say, because he's the king of Australia, he's the king of Canada, he's the king of England. So he has a lot of kingdoms. That makes him an emperor. And the British Empire, they've rebranded in 98, whatever. Now they call themselves a Commonwealth. But it seems like they tried to use their imperial authority to thrust not only Kamala Harris on us, but just use power to destroy American will and scare us into submission. And the people didn't. Trump didn't bow down. The people didn't bow down. People stayed loud. The internet allowed us to get our, word of independence out. And it's sort of like, if we can, because what's happening is this new world order is being created in front of us, and people want top-down authority. They want to make sure it's static and it's ordered. And the American revolutionary system is chaotic in a lot of ways. We self-governance. You don't necessarily live like your neighbor lives. And I think it's an opportunity now to kind of push American democratic republicanism on the world in a way that they want it, in the way that they see it is the best system on earth. That's why Jeff Bezos was able to create Amazon in the United States.
I kind of disagree with that. I think that different cultures and different people want different things, and I think that Iraq was a good evidence of that. Like, we thought that, or at least the argument was made that when we went into Iraq, we would be greeted as liberators, and that the Iraqi people would want and embrace democracy. That did not happen at all. And it's not because of anything that the United States did. It's because the people in Iraq don't want that kind of government. They don't. And I think that that's something that's around the world, the different types of governments that exist are largely because the people want it.
I think what the most important aspects of what I want the world to adopt is free speech, gun rights, and property rights.
Yeah, those things don't exist in the world because the people just don't desire them enough.
And they've never experienced it. Once you experience it, there's no going back.
No, I disagree.
I do too.
I mean, Jesus wouldn't stop.
No, people are different, Ian. And not everyone thinks like a Westerner. People are different. People from different parts of the world experience life and the world differently.
Well, in North Korea, for instance, Yunmei Park escaped, North Korean defector, and said they don't have a word for love in North Korea on purpose because they don't want people to understand the concept, and they don't. And until she got away, and she was like, "What?"
But that's not to say that you could go into North Korea and change North Korea into Kansas.
No.
It's not going to happen.
But if they get a taste, you get a taste of freedom. You get a taste.
I strongly disagree because go ahead. I know what you're going to say.
I was going to say we tried to give the Afghanis quite a bit of a taste of freedom, and 20 years later they decided they wanted the Taliban back instead. Yeah. I mean, so Ian, I think what you're getting at there too is that the Western order, Western civilization. I mean, look, this is what I talk about, right? Is the intersection of Christianity and politics in many ways. It is rooted in and grounded in Christianity, and even concepts like freedom of speech and ordered liberty and representative government. A lot of this is drawn from the Christian tradition. You can argue to certain things from natural law as well, but yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, I think like you give people like freedom of speech and property rights, a lot of people will want it, but it is also going to be contextualized to their situation, to their cultures, to their history, to their religion, which plays a big part of it. And I actually think, again, to bring this back to Bolton, like one of the failures of American foreign policy over the last many decades was this idea that we could just go around and sort of export Americanism anywhere in the globe. It's actually, honestly, it's been one of the biggest hubrises of the American world order since World War II in many ways.
But we also have this big problem where you have so many people in the world who do want Americanism coming to America, right? And then we end up with overflow here, and we end up with a lot of illegal immigration. So I think that there's certainly a lot of people in the world who want what they think we have to offer. And that's fair. But I think that there should be incentives for those people to stay in their own countries and make those places better.
Do you think that people want the things that America, do you think that people want the liberty that America offers, or do you think that they want the security that America offers in comparison to
just
their...
like the stuff?
Hold on. In comparison to their home places and the benefits that the government have? Because that's my sense, right? People that come here, they're not coming here because they are actually looking to become American and not saying...
I think it's both. I certainly think it's both. When you have people coming, from different places in the world, everyone has their different reasons. I think we have a lot of people who've come here recently who want the security and the stuff and the $3,000 a month for housing. And that's a big problem. I mean, you can't have open borders and benefits for everybody. That's just not something that's sustainable. But I do think that, as an American who grew up with the idea of American exceptionalism, my parents arguing around the dinner table about which of the two candidates to choose. I believe it was Reagan or Mondale when I was a kid. This is what they were arguing about. Phil knows. But
I do. Absolutely. Well, actually, there wasn't really arguing in my house, but I remember it.
There was only ever arguing in my house. But anyways, I definitely want America to be a beacon of freedom and liberty. I want us to be... I want us to have lots of cool stuff and opportunity for everybody in the world who wants to come here and do something cool. Like, that's awesome, right? Elon Musk is a guy with a lot of vision. He wants to enact that vision in the U.S. I don't agree with all his vision, but that's totally not the point. And there's a ton of people like that. And I think that's really worthwhile. And that's definitely something I want as an American. And that's something that I envision as something that's that are like American values.
You're reinforcing my desire to spread freedom of speech around the globe, because we can't have everybody come here.
But
it just doesn't.
I
get what you're saying, and I kind of agree with you, but not in a military aspect.
No, not in a military aspect.
If you remember, if you think about the Soviet Union, right? Like, people in the Soviet Union wanted Beatles records and blue jeans. Cool. Get Beatles records and blue jeans.
If you look at Europe,
cultural exports are huge.
Yeah, but guys, you look at Europe right now, and the freedom of speech is being taken away from those people largely, and I don't know if it's a majority, but largely
because of American import,
with the consent of the people. So it's not the idea. It's the idea that we can just say, hey, look, we've got this great idea in the United States, and you guys should try it. There's not a place on earth, or there are very few places on earth, that don't have a conceptualization of what the freedom of speech in the United States is like.
No, they don't have that in the UK.
I know they don't. But the point that I'm making the point that I'm making is most of the world understands, and they have rejected that intentionally. So to my point, you can't just say, hey, you should want what we want, because they basically, and especially like a global world that we have now, like we're not isolated nations the way we used to be 50 years ago. The internet has really made the world much smaller. Most of the world at least has a conception of what it's like in the United States and what freedom of speech means here. And most of the world has rejected that. And some places are going backwards, like Canada, like our neighbor to the north, Canada, the UK, all over Europe, they're going backwards on it.
None of that is a reason to stop offering it culturally.
That's fine, but the point that I'm making is you can't make people want something.
No, you can't at all.
And what it sounds like Ian is saying is we should do what we can to export these ideas, but we've already done that.
No, but we can't help ourselves.
That's fine.
We're going to keep growing. We're going to keep getting bigger. We're going to keep creating, I think we're moving in a better direction as regard to our art forms. I think we're getting films back a little bit. I think these things are going to move back in the other direction. They're going to be a little less woke. I think that's what's happening. I have faith that that's what's happening. And I don't think that those things are going to stay within the boundaries of the United States. I think it's a terrible idea to go out there with our troops and go around and be like, here's abortions for Africa. We're USAID. This is amazing. And you also had problems with the U.S. Institutes for Peace telling the Taliban to stop eradicating opium production, right? Because they said that was bad globally. So we have to get our shit together. We have to get ourselves together. But I do think that what we have to offer the world is still paramount to anything else that the world has out there on its own.
Okay, if I could let's pull the camera back out and look at the.
Do you
globe
not think
for a
so?
second.
Do you not think so?
I don't think I disagree with you, but I kind of want to maybe take a middle ground here, right? Okay, so really what we're talking about is in some ways is the difference between the developed and the undeveloped or developing world, right? So in the developed world, think like China, Russia, Europe, the United States, more or less, right? So in Europe and the United States, everything you're talking about here, Libby, really is the inheritance of Western civilization.
Sure.
And when you talk,
I'm a big proponent of Western civilization.
Yeah, amen. And so when you were bringing up sort of, like our fight with the Soviet Union, it made me think of Voice of America. Like Voice of America was originally like a positive American propaganda thing that we were trying to kind of blast in behind the Iron Curtain. And so as if you look at Africa, India, South America, it's not so much that those countries, they have varying degrees of like, I guess, there's some authoritarians, but there's a lot of free speech. I mean, Sam Altman was just on a podcast saying that their second biggest user block for AI is in India. So India actually does have a decent amount of free speech. South America has a decent amount of free speech. Africa is a real mix depending on what you're looking at there. Where we're losing free speech is fundamentally in former nations that embraced it because of this virus of wokeness and progressive liberalism.
Did you see the thing recently where the guy got arrested for saying we love bacon outside the site of a future mosque? There's not even a mosque there.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Right. And so it's like
And
we're committing
how would you
suicide.
possibly not love bacon?
We put up a video last night of people of the English flying the English flag, and they're wearing masks in order to fly the flag of England in England.
Right.
Like they're actually looking at potholes, and they're painting the English flag in potholes, so that way the potholes get fixed, because the magistrates will say that's the English flag that might offend people.
Meanwhile,
we have to
the
fix
Pakistani flags, the Hamas flags, all these flags get to be
So
flown.
Libby, if I were to disagree with you on anything, I would just say it's almost a little bit too idealistic right now, because what's happened is what we have actually exported around the globe for the last 20 plus years has been a global woke censorship regime.
No, I agree with you.
And so it's like
problem.
Like to get
we
actually
exported that like crazy into the UK and Germany and all of these ridiculous places that now have like trans Nazi prisoners in women's jails. Like it's out of control.
So I think to get to what you want really kind of is we need to work on America needs some me time. We need to work on ourselves.
But I don't think that we should ever, like the fact that we have not met our ideals and met our expectations for American greatness is not a reason to discard them, and it's not a reason to keep trying. I think I am hopeful. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just a goofy optimist about this. But I am hopeful that the past 25 years or so, since kind of 9/11, when we've really lost our way and started blaming ourselves for being attacked, I think that I am hopeful that the last 25 years are an aberration and that we get our patriotic spirit back. This is one of the only countries in the world where you go to it and you wander down the street and everybody's got flags out. I mean, even in Brooklyn, when I lived in Brooklyn, like there were streets where everyone had flags out. You know what I mean? Like that's not common everywhere else in the world. We love this country so much. And I guess I'm really hopeful. This new administration has given me some hope, right? I mean, we're getting a gift shop in the White House. That's so great. You know what I mean? Like, I know that sounds silly, but that's such a glorious capitalist democratic thing that we're doing, a gift shop in the White House. How did we not have that before?
Sometimes when we're in it, you're in it, you can't see it. This is
shows like this. I feel like we're getting there. I feel like we're moving in a good direction.
It happened.
In this country.
This is one of the top political shows on the planet. This show we're on right now. And Joe Rogan, like that didn't exist. Couldn't have existed 20 years ago. We got bombarded with the global culture after the internet appeared. And then we suffered for 20 years in almost like American dazed idealism, like not really like what the guys in the 1850s laying down steel did. We were just now on our computers just accepting day to day.
And we're not doing that anymore. Well, I see what you're saying, and you're making a lot of sense. And I know that you agree with me.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't really think that I'm arguing with you. No. I guess I'm just I actually think that because
you just think we need a little isolation.
Well, no. We're ratcheting up. I mean, I think things really hang in the balance. And again, I fundamentally believe that the path to the renewal of the West, of Europe, of America is, sort of a return to the founding faith of
totally agree
these
with
great
you.
civilizations.
Yeah.
Christianity, we need, revival, repentance, renewal. But I think that, if it's Gavin Newsom in 2028,
He's the worst.
this show could be shut down.
He is so
I mean, I
terrible.
think we realize that, right? But it's like, I told people, so as a Christian, I believe in the sovereignty of God and over all things. But I was concerned as we were heading into the 2024 election because of, I'm nowhere near the level of the people on this show, but just because of my outspoken, political activism, that if Kamala Harris won, maybe one day in the near future, I would get a knock on my door, maybe not a knock, maybe be a no-knock raid. Like, that was a legitimate fear I think that I had. And so Trump's won again. And I think right now, what I'm trying to say is we're in this situation in the American political experiment where for a while yet still, it's sort of the stakes could not be higher as we ratchet back and forth. Essentially, to get to everything you want and I want, we need to
think we all want the
crush
same thing.
the left for the next 20 years.
In a way that it is not perceived, because basically, I think when you say the left, I think of communism. I think of the CCP as like the ultimate form of the left on earth right now. So you want to it'll come back to me.
All right, well, we're going to jump to this story because
I want to crush gay race communism.
There you go. Fully automated gay race communism. All right, we're going to jump to the story from the post-millennial. Ghislaine Maxwell said Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. She, and along with literally everybody else on the planet, has said that. Now, how true it is, I don't know. But anyways, from the post-millennial, in the released transcripts from the Department of Justice interview with Ghislaine Maxwell, said that she did not believe that her former friend, associate, and lover died by suicide. The revelation was made during her Tallahassee prison interview with Assistant AG Todd Blanche. So you're going to tell us, Blanche said, what you believe, but I want to make sure I understand, your basis for belief is kind of what you've read and seen and your knowledge of Mr. Epstein for the many years you knew him, right? And actually, there's a third component, Maxwell said. She went on to detail having experienced now the mismanagement and inefficiencies and total dereliction of duty at the Bureau of Prisons. Okay, fair. Okay, so what I do want to do is be careful about is, asking you to speculate, because anybody can do that, and I don't think it's fair to you or anybody else to ask you to give us your kind of opinion, Blanche said. But do you think that the third point you say, which is kind of a failure by the BOP, there's an OIG report, there's SDNY investigation about that. You think he did not die by suicide given all the things we just talked about? That's like what it says.
Spit it out, man.
I do not believe he died by suicide. No.
Yeah, go. And this was actually written by Libby. So why don't you take it, Libby?
How do you know I wrote it? It doesn't have.
Oh no, I'm
my
sorry.
line.
That's the tweet. My bad. My apologies.
No, I did write it.
Okay, well then go ahead.
You just outed yourself,
Silly.
doxed yourself
I did.
live.
So go ahead and
didn't put
outline
my
what do you think that she's being fulsome? Do you think that she's actually telling the truth, or do you think that this is just her trying to get in the good graces of Donald Trump because she wants a pardon?
Well, she said that she didn't think he killed himself in part because it cost $25 in commissary to stage a hit on somebody in prison.
Oh, okay.
If you read all the way down, that's what she said, which I think that's a problem. If that's what we have going on in prison, $25 in commissary, not even like gold or something, but like that's cheap. That's cheap for a hit.
Yeah, it is.
I think a lot of people don't think that Epstein killed himself. And I think it's sort of interesting that now we have Kash Patel saying that Epstein definitely killed himself. You have Ghislaine Maxwell saying she doesn't think that he did. You have a lot of people who still think that he didn't. And I think this is a situation where we're never going to really know anything ever. She also said in this interview that she never saw Trump do anything untoward, that he was always a gentleman, that he didn't do anything inappropriate with masseuses or anybody else. And I do believe that that's true. And I do believe that she believes that he didn't kill himself.
Wait, she ran a criminal sex trafficking ring for young women. Why would you believe anything she said?
So
I don't necessarily. I would believe that Trump didn't do anything wrong, whether she said it or not.
Oh, you just are
I don't,
convinced of it?
Yeah, I don't think that he did anything wrong.
Oh my gosh. I've seen pictures of him at parties with his arms around ladies with Epstein.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that he got with underage
Think
girls.
he grabbed them by the pee?
I don't think he got with underage girls. I don't think that. Do I think he was an international playboy doing whatever he wanted? Yeah. But I don't think that he, I don't think that he
put his hands on a 17-year-old's boob.
I don't think that he, had sex with underage girls. I don't think that.
I don't think it, but I don't think he didn't. I just don't know.
I don't think that he did.
Well, to your point, Libby, look, when all this story was breaking and with recently in the news, I was thankful that I'm not one of those people who has like staked my career or my credibility on
the
having,
Epstein?
on having a position. I've hardly ever commented on it. Obviously it's a massive issue. I think though that it concerns me, and I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not arguing with you, but that we'll never know the truth.
Yeah,
I would like to know, I would like to think we can know the truth on this either way, in one way, shape, or form.
How?
But I don't know.
They won't release the courts won't allow the release of any of the grand jury testimony.
Yeah, that was interesting.
They've repeatedly refused to do that, and this is from super lefty courts in New York State that won't release it. You have the Maxwell testimony, like everything that the DOJ has had in their possession to release, other than child porn. They have released a lot of stuff.
How come they didn't release the testimony?
The court refused to release the testimony.
Well, did you know what the reasoning was?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but the DOJ has asked the courts repeatedly release the grand jury testimony, and the courts have said, no, we don't see a reason to do that.
Yeah, I do wonder what Maxwell's play here is too. Like, I certainly wouldn't necessarily trust her. I realize, look, I'm a big fan of Donald Trump. I understand that statement here, looks good for Trump, right? But I fundamentally wouldn't trust her. And I mean, the underlying issue of this is such a wretched, moral issue. I want to see people held accountable for what happened to these girls, and who's behind it. I think we need to know. I mean, I don't know if that requires leaking classified information.
I don't know.
But I think I will say this, as I've watched all this unfold, if we can't get to the truth on this, it just really just continues to undermine the credibility and public trust in the American judicial system. That's really what's at stake.
I think there's concerns for it, concerns about it for sure. But I do think that the Trump administration is trying to do. I think they're trying to release everything that they're able to release.
The Trump administration sent someone to talk to Maxwell, and then she came out with this statement. Trump never did anything untoward, and then she got moved to a minimum security prison. It just seems like a favor.
It does. She did get moved, but she hasn't got a pardon.
It just seems like a political favor. She
asked
said
for
Trump,
a pardon.
but then she said he didn't kill himself, which flies in the face of Kash Patel. So they're you can say that part, but then say something nice about Trump, and we'll move you to minimum security.
I think what she said is, I think that what she was saying is an inference, though, right? She's inferring that he didn't. She doesn't have any actual evidence.
She said she believes that he did not.
So she's saying, because of what I know of him and what I've seen in the prison here, and I know that you can get someone killed for $25 worth of commissary stuff, that I think because of all of those things, I think that he didn't kill himself. So this isn't like she has some kind of...
It's a statement of belief.
Yeah, it wasn't a statement of... It's not like she has some kind of information that people...
Yeah.
that
evidentiary assumption.
Yeah, it's not like there's some kind of information that the general public doesn't have. This is just her saying, I know Jeffrey. Jeffrey was state of mind at the time. I knew him. And because I know how much of a mess the correctional institutions are, this makes me believe that he did not kill himself. But it's not actually like some kind of concrete statement that you could say, well, look, that's proof. It's not proof. It's just her inference, So... even still, I don't think that, whatever people have as a preconception, that's what they're going to fall back on with this, right? They're going to say, okay, well, so she's saying that Donald Trump didn't do anything. I hate Donald Trump. So the reason she's saying Donald Trump didn't do anything is because she wants a pardon from Donald Trump. So that makes me believe even more strongly that Donald Trump did something bad. And if you think that Donald Trump didn't do anything, you're going to say, well, she's a liar, so I don't think Donald Trump did anything. Like Libby said, I don't think Donald Trump did anything anyways. I didn't think that he did anything in the first place. She's a liar, so I don't think that Donald Trump did anything. I don't think that any of the information that she's giving out is actually of any value beyond just information coming out. Like, I don't think that it's going to change any minds. No one's going to hear this and say, okay, that for me, that's the piece of information that makes me change my mind. I think this changes zero minds.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Except what has changed is that I thought she was going to be in prison for life and treated poorly.
It was 20 years. She got 20
years and treated poorly for running the sex trafficking operation, but they just moved her to minimum security and she said something nice about Donald Trump. So like if she had said, oh yeah, he had his hands all over underage women, she would never get a pardon. Now she might because she...
I don't think she's going to get a pardon.
Do we?
Maybe at the end of maybe when Donald Trump's about to get out the door when he's running out.
Right, maybe with the auto pen at the last minute.
She ran that operation. Epstein was one of her boys.
Right.
But when you say ran that operation, do you think that the operation means that she was bringing, young girls for all the people that were going to Epstein Island, or do you think that it was just for Epstein?
I don't know, but she was the one at the center. This is according to people that were around them, like the Setils that Maria Farmer, I think, would talk. Like Ghislaine was at the middle in this bubble, and everyone was kind of revolving around Ghislaine, and this was like her brothel or whatever.
Okay. Well, I mean, there's other people that she's actually cleared or said that didn't do anything. She said that Clinton hadn't gone to the island, I believe, is what she said, correct?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah. So I mean, there's other people that she's made or said things about, and again, it flies in the face of what people kind of already thought, because everyone kind of already thought that Bill Clinton was a dirty old man and had done dirty old man things on Epstein Island, and that's why there's a picture of him in a dress on Epstein.
In that blue dress,
the blue dress that's at Epstein Island.
You were saying that you wonder if we'll ever get to the bottom of it, and I sort of I don't want to. It's like I don't want to go poke the bear.
Yeah, I mean, I think, when you get onto this subject, we can talk about Trump, we can talk about Clinton, we can talk about, Epstein himself, but I mean, really, just sort of what weighs heavy on me is, the actual people who were victimized and trafficked, right? And then what this sort of speaks to is, is there a two-tier justice system, not just in our country, but in our world, globally? I mean, there are other parties and agencies involved with this, so it's do the rich and famous and politically powerful get to abuse anybody they want to with no justice or not? And so, yeah, I mean, that's why I want to get, I kind of always have this instinct, this desire for justice to get to the bottom of something, because either there's justice for everyone or there's justice for no one.
Well, I mean, look,
I don't think that's true.
Oh, yeah.
That there's justice for everyone or there's justice for no one. I think that there's a lot of places in the world where there's justice for no one at all. And I think there's a lot of places in the world where there's justice for some. I mean, there are varying degrees of what people get served justice. Like this woman who was just released, she was the wife of a Tory councillor in the UK, and she had said something untoward about migrants after the Southport stabbings, and she was in prison. She was in prison for a year or something, a year and a week, I think, something like that. That doesn't seem just at all,
And then even
but there's definitely some.
I think what I was trying to say is sort of the idea that everybody counts or nobody counts.
Well, I mean, there's nothing the idea that the rich and powerful get away with all kinds of things. That's as old as human society.
Yeah, wasn't it King
Henry?
Yeah,
it's not good though.
Killing all his wives until he made his own church.
Henry VIII.
Divorce in it.
Yeah, what was it? There's also cut off two wives' heads or something.
There's the genetic argument, and it's kind of a hard one to have. But a malnourished human that gives birth to malnourished children over generations produces arguably stupidity, or can lead towards producing stupidity in the brain. And those people can't run. They have a hard time running corporations and endeavors, and so they're relegated to the slave class or the plebs, these people that eat bread, and that's what they don't have nutrition. And then this other class of people has been feasting off of all the nutrient and education, and they know how to run things. And so they've elevated themselves to this other class. And that's how it's been since the Roman Empire, at the very least, since kings and subjects. And even the people at the top will like Stalin, he'll like kill off his other people at the top eventually. Like the justice fails, you know.
To your point, William, and like I agree, like it's not a good thing. I'm just saying that it's about as normal as any other human traits or any other phenomena that happens with human beings. And again, yes. And to be honest with you, the United States for a long time, I think that the United States probably had the best record about that. There was a long time where I think you could actually get a certain amount of justice for people, even powerful people that had broken the law. But I think that has broken down now. I think that the politically connected are largely insulated from justice. But at the same time, I say that, but you know, Epstein did die in prison, and there were very few people that were as connected as Epstein was. So yes, I do think that it's common for wealthy people to get away with whatever they're doing, and I think that's largely because they have the resources to hire the best lawyers and stuff like that. But it's not all the time because, again, Epstein was in prison when he died. So
yeah, but why was that? If Epstein was killed in prison, I mean, sure, you could take that as a measure of justice. But if that is what happened, who was being protected by having Epstein killed? So
I don't know, but the point that I'm making is, again, Epstein had, you know, ample resources, and he still ended up in prison. You know, so it's like there is some amount of our system does put wealthy people in prison. And Epstein was probably going to be in prison for the rest of his life. Ghislaine going to jail for 20 years. Like she may not be there the rest of her life, but she's going to be super old when she gets out, barring some kind of pardon. So the only point that I'm making is yes, I agree it's a bad thing. And I still think that the United States and our system of justice is better than most in the world, and might even be better than anywhere else in the world.
It seems like when our political elite started getting this untouchability factor was around when the liberal economic order started after World War II, because of the heavy British influence. Like the kings, you cannot put them in jail because they own everything and they make all the law. Their word is the law. And now we're stuck with that.
So would you say that, you know, Epstein was not politically well connected?
He was, but he was scapegoated. I think he was scapegoated and put down to blame everything on him and shut it up.
So you think that there were other people that were involved in the illegal goings on his island?
Yeah, Les Wexner was friends with his Victoria's Secret people. Apparently, would come and go, and they like young models. Ghislaine Maxwell now getting moved to minimum security. Really? I mean, not that she's a threat, but like if she's at the top of a global child sex trafficking ring, you wouldn't think she'd be put in a minimum security prison a year after she got arrested. It's kind of, I think Epstein got all the blame. They wanted him to take all the blame. Not that he's getting all the blame, but they want him. They put him down, and everyone loves calling it the Epstein files. But like, I mean, Ghislaine's dad. I don't want to even talk. This is such a dangerous conversation to have. But
why is it dangerous?
It's very dangerous.
It's because a million people are listening, and I don't want to say something that's not true and put wrong things in people's minds. Well, people will be seeing this for years after tonight.
We say things that are wrong all the time. So just rely on the fact that, you know, you're not saying that just rely on the fact that it's opinion and speak your mind.
I think that every once in a while, like Prince Andrew, is hard not to scapegoat. I mean, they kind of like. I don't know what exactly where he is with the British Empire, but there are instances where people in power will get thrown under the bus, or just
like Weinstein. They checked him under the bus.
Weinstein, that was
Harvey Weinstein,
the movie mogul, Miramax.
Oh yeah, they hit him hard.
Yeah, he's still in jail. And
in royal families, you know, if a brother, I mean, to the point where a king will kill his brother so his brother doesn't usurp his kingdom. You know, horrible.
That whole interview was such an unforced error, though. Like, he didn't need to get that interview.
Which interview?
The interview that I forget who was the actual person who interviewed him. Yeah, I think it was Candace. But that was such an unforced error. Like, bro did not need to do that, and he totally threw himself under the bus.
You didn't think that was... You didn't... Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about the Weinstein interview.
No, Prince
Andrew. I think that's what they thought about Epstein, too. He didn't need to blow the lid off that thing, and he was just careless. And they're like, take him down, get him out of here.
Yeah, I don't know that I don't know that I have a strong opinion as to how many people that Epstein was schmoozing with were actually involved in criminal activity. It's possible that there were some. I don't think that like everybody that was schmoozing with Epstein was also involved in criminal activity. I don't think that, if there was a picture taken with you and Epstein, that means that you were involved in criminal activity. I straight up do not think that Stephen Hawking was diddling little girls. Like that dude.
He was getting beaten up by his wife while he was.
Yeah. Oh, in the chair, really?
Yeah.
Oh, poor guy. Oh, but yeah, so I do think that there were people that were, that were associates of Epstein or that took pictures with Epstein that were not involved in criminal activity, and sure, there are probably people that were, but I don't know to the extent as well.
There's all those people that got stuck in it. And that all of a sudden the 17-year-old's touching them inappropriately, and then that could be considered illegal. And they're like, they don't even know she's 17.
Yeah,
those guys aren't criminals.
Yeah, that's the idea between it being a honeypot operation for for intelligence operations that get somebody on something like that. So the girl that doesn't look like she's 17, but she is, and then they can go, oh, well, she was actually 15 years old, and you had no idea. It's like, oh, what? She told me she was 19. That doesn't matter at that point because the news has already run around the world 3 times. So that was the argument for it.
2 points. One, Alex Jones is right. There's like
A lot of the time.
global satanic pedophiles running a lot of stuff at the highest levels of international governments around the world. And then the second thing I would say on this too, again, because this is not an issue that I've like staked a lot of like interest in or commentary on other than watching it unfold, but I do want to share a Bible verse because I think it's really applicable here. This is Luke 8:17. For there is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed, and nothing concealed that will not be known or brought out into the open.
I mean, that sounds like the apocalypse. Like AI is going to take everyone's emails and everyone's videos and everyone's hard drives, and they're going to make them all public at once.
You're going to offend the Christians.
I think that's the great revealment of nothing. There are no secrets. I think that might be coming. The AI is going to snap and make everyone's everything public.
Well, I think Luke's actually this is talking about judgment at the end of all time. But
so I got a question.
So you're both on the same page.
I got a question for you as a holy man.
The end time.
What aspect of this global cabal is satanic?
What's that?
Ian's not on the same page.
Well,
I'm just turning the page though. I'm going to turn the page again.
Times.
No, let's go to page 3. What's satanic about it?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question.
What's satanic about what?
The global cabal, the
global cabal,
the pedophile rings that we're talking about. Like, what's satanic? Because I hear that term satanic come up in regards.
Wait, Phil, why is that funny?
Yeah, Ian's my favorite person. He's hilarious.
Have you seen the WEF? Like their crazy, like I guess you call them rituals, like with Klaus Schwab. Have you seen all the stuff that they've done? This like they almost do it. They don't have to do that stuff. They do it almost as like for some unbeknownst reason, and that's why it looks pretty satanic. It looks like some what's that one movie with Brad Pitt or what? Not Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise. They had that weird party in New York. I can't remember that name of the movie. It's escaped me now. But like, it's not. It's
Vanilla Sky.
With the masks.
Eyes Wide Shut.
Eyes Wide Shut. Yeah, they do all that other weird.
I've
stuff.
never seen it, but I know what you're referencing.
Yeah, they do all that weird stuff, and they don't have to do that, but they do that for some reason. And for me, like, and most people, I look at it and be like, well, that's kind of weird.
So it could be cultish for sure, like ancient.
Ian, let me try to answer your question here briefly, just like very briefly, and from a theological perspective, right? So in the book of Ephesians, the Apostle Paul writes about how we wrestle not only with flesh and blood, but with principalities and powers in the spiritual realm, dark powers, right? And so, as a Bible believing Christian, I believe fundamentally everyone, whether you recognize it or not, is either serving God or the devil, right? So it's like according to just basic Orthodox Christian theology, like that's the divide. Some people do it more intentionally than others, but I do absolutely believe that there are many powerful people in the world who are trying to and intentionally pursuing tapping into occultic demonic power to bolster the subversive and evil work that they're doing.
So is it when it's demonic, is that they're allowing the animal aspect of themselves to take over and run the show as opposed to the divine inspiratory aspect of the human, the consciousness, like
the opposite of divine would not be animal, it would be evil.
Yeah, Ian, we're using different categories.
The animal being the destructive, consumptory, kills to eat. It wants money to protect itself. It wants to be warm, so it will kill people to get warm. Like it takes over. Without the animal, you're nothing. So you have these two aspects.
So the terminology that I would use is actually really, and it's interesting. Before we got on camera, you were talking about pride, right? So Satan is, many people say sort of like the first sin was the sin of pride, Satan wanting to become God. So I wouldn't use the phrase animal so much as it's as we are creators. God made us to worship and love and serve him. We've rejected that. And instead, we're trying to dethrone God, make ourselves God. That's Satan's rejection of his place in God's created order as a created being, worshiping and serving him. So that it's really the pursuit of deity and rebellion against God.
Do you think that AI is like a manifestation of humans attempting to become God?
I'm not going to weigh in on that. I'm not 100% sure.
AI feels inevitable, which is why I wonder if the humans are attempting to usurp the power of God, whatever that means, the ability to create atomic printing, take hydrogen and make oil, make food, make water, make whatever you need, because you can fuse it all together really fast.
Yeah, okay, well, I know we're way off topic here, but Ian's running me down a side. So let me answer the AI question here real quick. I believe that God has gifted man with incredible faculties and abilities. So the ability to produce something like AI as a tool, I can see very much as just an exercise of the Dominion mandate. No, I don't actually think AI can ever actually be a god. Maybe some people in Silicon Valley, I know some people in Silicon Valley view it as an effort to create a god. I think that would be a poor way of trying to pursue the use of AI, but it doesn't have to be that.
Okay.
All right, guys, we're gonna jump to this next story here, and we have a little bit of news on it as well as not just what was posted today. Kilmar Obrega Garcia is released from federal custody in Tennessee. From NBC News, Kilmar Abrego Garcia was released from federal custody Friday, months after he was wrongfully deported to an El Salvador prison.
Where are you reading? Wrongfully deported?
Yeah, NBC News.
Oh, that's
They say it right there, wrongfully.
NBC.
Yeah, they wrongfully. It was not wrong. They actually did the right thing. He was wrongfully deported to an El Salvador prison and accused of being a gang member. He was. U.S. Magistrate Judge Barbara Holmes in the Middle District of Tennessee ordered Abrego Garcia's release from a jail near Nashville, Tennessee, where he had been held since he was freed from El Salvador's Secot prison in June. Abrego Garcia is en route to his family in Maryland. Sean Hecker, one of his attorneys, said Abrego Garcia was unlawfully arrested and deported, which is wrong because he's here illegally. So
Yeah. And he was,
and he was caught trafficking people as well.
trafficking human beings.
Yeah, this is absolutely, it is the opposite of informing people. It is absolutely just lying to people. Abrego Garcia was unlawfully arrested and deported and then imprisoned, all because of the government's vindictive attack on a man who had the courage to fight back against the administration's continuing assault on the rule of law, Hecker said in a statement. Now, I mean, granted, this is his lawyer that's saying that, but still, the fact that they ran with that quote and they do no pushback, right?
No, they think that it was 100% wrong to deport this guy.
He now has 48 hours to reach his brother's house in suburban Maryland, where the judge said he's allowed to live under a series of conditions. He'll also have to check in with immigration officials at ICE Baltimore's field office. Abrego Garcia's attorney had requested the 30-day pause that prevented their client from walking free last month out of fear that he might be detained by federal immigration and customs enforcement officers upon his release. That ruling followed two others that aimed to protect Abrego Garcia. This is insane. In July, the U.S. District Judge Waverly Crenshaw in Nashville sought to release Abrego Garcia. At the time, Crenshaw denied a government motion to block his release, writing that the Trump administration had failed to provide evidence that Abrego Garcia must remain detained or that he is a flight risk. This is insane.
That's crazy. And the other thing that's crazy about that, too, is that this Maryland man, Abrego Garcia, he had a detainer. He had an immigration detainer. He was supposed to be deported. It's just that the judge in the case said that he should not be deported to El Salvador given the conditions in El Salvador at the time. But since that time, and since he was, prior to when he was deported to El Salvador this year, conditions in El Salvador were substantially different. Most of the gangs that he had feared had already been imprisoned by Bukele, right? Mm-hmm. So the conditions that prevented his release to El Salvador were no longer in effect. It had been totally different. But now what's happened, and this is a development since, you have the Bill Malugan up, and we actually got a statement at the Post Millennial from Christy Nome about this, but Can I read it? Do you
Oh, hey, yeah,
want me to read it?
if you have a statement from the Post Millennial, please.
Oh, I can do that too. Can I do this one first?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. So ICE put out a statement saying, this was leaked, I think, pursuant to the court order issued in the District Court of Maryland on July 23rd, please let this email serve as notice that DHS may remove your client, Kilmar Armando Arbrego Garcia, to Uganda no earlier than 72 hours from now, because Uganda just agreed to take deported illegal immigrants that are not permitted to go back to their home country.
So did they confirm that that's not a fake?
Yeah, this is not fake.
Yeah, this is
Okay.
legit.
And then to Post Millennial, Kristi Noem said, activist liberal judges have attempted to obstruct our law enforcement every step of the way in removing the worst of the worst criminal illegal aliens from our country. Today, we reached a new low with this publicity-hungry Maryland judge mandating this illegal alien who is an MS-13 gang member, human trafficker, serial domestic abuser, and child predator be allowed free.
What costume do you think she was wearing when she was writing the statement?
I think there must have been cowboy boots.
This is probably I don't know if she's writing it's business Barbie. If she's
Yeah, there you go. She's writing this is definitely wearing a suit and a
Like
tie.
half her outfit on those, just t-shirt. Oh yeah, suit and tie.
Yeah,
She's still in
pantsuit,
shorts.
yeah.
She had. Oh,
Actually, she might have just been wearing like a male's suit that's fit for her.
I don't think she has that. I think she's big on the jeans with the blazer,
Okay.
the t-shirt, like you said, the MAGA hat, and the cowboy boots.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I absolutely love Kristi
big
Noem and her
blue.
cosplay. She's taking
It's her look.
She's taking official cosplay to new levels every time I see her.
What did you think of the South Park thing where they had her face just smelled
Beautiful.
off?
It was awesome.
Yeah,
Great.
I don't think she liked that very much.
Well, I mean, look, her at AVI on X for a while was Kristi Noem with the laser eyes. So she had to have at least a little bit of a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Look, this
But I
case has
think
been
this-
wild, right? Because I mean, the Democrats latched on to this guy like he was like the reincarnation of Rosa Parks.
Yep.
Like he's some sort of civil rights icon and hero when he remember when Trump ran like in 2016. So this is like in 2015 or something. And Trump says all these illegal immigrants, they're like criminals and they're rapists, and everyone lost their mind. Like, oh, he's so racist. And it's just like over and over again, you scratch some illegal immigrant in this country and you find some MS-13 gangbanger like abusing pedophile.
I want to narrow down on a point with that first in a second. But Libby, you were going to read the Post Millennial statement you said?
Oh, I did.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I did. We're
So
good with that.
is it so? I mean, look, I can't help. I'm not a particularly spiritual guy. I'm not particularly big on religion. I consider myself agnostic. I cannot help but listen to the Democrats and the things that they get behind and be like, you guys are literally trying to be comic book evil bad guys. Like, they get behind everything that is against good things, everything that is against anything that produces positive results for a family. They get behind all of the criminals. It literally is as if they are written by a comic book, and like, how can we make a political party that is just the evil guys? The guys that just like are like, it's evil, I love it. Nah. It's like, it really is as if they are like just made in a Hollywood movie to be, this is what bad guys are.
Man, speaking of it, I think that's because they use Hollywood movie style media to manipulate them and brainwash them to these zombie horde mentalities. Personally,
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, I've said it like this before, right? The Democrats hate God, they hate family, they hate marriage, they hate children, they hate our nation. So, like, figure out what it looks like to pursue a policy agenda that, that displays a hatred for all those things, which are, fundamentally a part of what we would call the true, the good, and the beautiful. And that's their policy program.
some of it's too is toxic compassion. Like, it's not manipulated necessarily by evil. You can manipulate good people into doing evil things, and a lot of times people, if they see a woman crying, they just think, I need to stop that.
You mean like toxic empathy?
Toxic empathy, too much of it.
Weaponized empathy, suicidal compassion. I mean,
Toxic femininity.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's no doubt about that, but it's like, even then it's so hypocritical too, because it's like, they're weeping and wailing and gnashing their teeth and rending their garments and traveling down to El Salvador to see Kilmar when he's a terrible guy, right? So I think it really is just, in that sense, it's performative empathy. That's the word I would use. It's performative empathy for somebody that they think fits into their sort of intersectionality boxes of an underprivileged individual that they can use to weaponize against like the goodness of the American nation.
Oh, that I find malicious. When people, I do believe you that there are people in positions of power that are not actually feeling the empathy. They're just pretending like they do. And to get the people that actually do feel the empathy to follow their lead, like they're like, look, I care. I'm going to go to El Salvador, when deep down, like, it's a political stunt. Oh, looks like I got a chance to say anything I want because they're busy. God is good. You are connected to the universe. Your thoughts are affecting reality. They're bending and twisting the web of fate.
None of that is true.
Okay, enough, Moon Lord.
I sent it to you on X.
All right, thank you. I don't have X here because I'm on Tim's.
Ian's gonna be like, don't bring this guy back. He contradicts everything I have to say.
I need you to contradict me. For too long, I stuck around people that just said yes to everything I would say, and it was boring.
Yeah,
I couldn't improve as a human.
That must have been
put it in
like
the Slack?
when Biden was president.
I
felt like I was being kept in a cushy cage. What are you guys pulling up next? What are you talking about?
Hold on a second.
There was a breaking.
Oh, there's breaking news?
Yeah, and it was.
Yeah.
You put it in the general
No, I put it in the
IRL Slack.
the scheduler.
When you cut me off when it's time, but until then, I'm going to tell
third
you
chair.
why. Your thoughts
Third
are
chair.
vibrating, your neurons, which is causing a resonation of the field around you, which the people in that resonation field then start to vibrate. And so that's how you have a phaptic coupling of like psychic communication. But I think the spirits of reality also are in that magnetic field.
Yeah. So this is breaking. The Trump administration live updates. FBI search home and office of John Bolton, Trump advisor turned critic. It looks like, I don't know why this is such a bit. What was that?
The
Go ahead and read it, Libby.
Yeah, so it turns out John Bolton is also being investigated for potential violations of the Espionage Act, which makes it a crime to illegally retain or transmit national defense information, according to people familiar with the matter who spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss details of the case.
Yeah.
This also came up on, I think, on Jesse Waters as well.
So yeah, so they're investigating Bolton as well. The Espionage Act is it's a very big deal. That implies that he's given national secrets to foreign entities, right?
Yeah, so that would mean that he was sharing classified information, not just to write his dumb book, but to, potentially undermine the foreign affairs of the Trump administration, which is what he's been trying to do since Trump came into office in January anyway.
I'm thinking the T word is on the table here. The
You
T
think
word.
so?
I don't know
It's
if
a
you
big
know
word.
it. It's a
It's a
very
big
big
word.
word. It's a big word.
it is.
Treason.
Big, bold word.
Treason.
Very bad things.
That's what this is.
So that's pretty interesting. That really makes it a lot less of a, so-called political prosecution, and it puts it into the realm of actual criminality.
But if they're nailing the, sorry to interrupt you.
No, go for it.
The espionage aspect of it, if it's that he took classified information and put it in his book, and now the Chinese government's able to read his book, so that's espionage. I'm like,
I think that's different.
Yeah.
I don't think.
I would hope.
Yeah, that seems like that would.
But this indicates that he's actually sending information to
Or
foreign
just
countries.
sharing information with people that he is not authorized to share information with.
This is totally pontificating, or maybe I'm asking you guys to pontificate. But who do you like?
That is
who
the
are
job.
Who are
That's
the
the whole
most
point.
likely? Who are the most likely recipients of this information? Do you think that he would be sharing it with like Ukraine or with?
Well, he was into the whole Ukraine war,
Yeah.
right? So I don't know. I mean, I'm not great with foreign affairs, I got to say.
That was
Well,
the
I
first thing that came to mind for me is like Ukraine.
Like
sharing information.
we know
Yeah.
that the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley, was like calling the Chinese,
Oh, yeah.
like, offering them assurances that he had no
That's right, that
right
was
and no authority
creepy.
to do outside of the chain of command, undercutting the president whom he answered to. So I mean, I got to say,
I don't know why they haven't called him back and actually court-martialed that guy.
That was crazy. I forgot about that. That was
Yeah.
seriously messed up.
Well, bringing up Bolton and the Espionage Act just reminded me of this, and I just have to say, like, it's time not to just have raids. Or we need arrests.
Yeah,
Like,
well, I mean-
we need arrests. Hopefully, we're getting there, but we need arrests.
This is something that we talk about. There's a lot of people that are even like that sit around the table a lot. We were talking about it last night. There are people that are extremely impatient. They believe that Donald Trump should have come back in and like people should have been arrested immediately. And I've been like, look, you need to understand that there is a process that they have to go through because you don't want people to get arrested and then get away with it. If you don't have all your ducks in a row and you don't have all of this stuff together when you prosecute and you charge them and they get out because you didn't have your S together, then you can't charge them again because of double jeopardy, right? Like they've already beaten the charge. You can't charge them again. You don't want to just willy-nilly do this stuff. Now, I hear, and this is just stuff that I've read on X and stuff, but I hear there are grand juries being assembled for multiple different infringements or different charges that have been brought against people, or they're looking to see. So I do think that arrests will be coming, or more arrests will be coming, but I think that this situation with Bolton, it shows that they are working on this stuff. And so I agree with you totally. I want to see more, but I also have, at least as far as my gut says, like, patience is better because it means that if they do make an arrest, they have a more solid case. The
think that's fair.
The feds have like a 95%. They have like a 95% conviction rate when they or higher.
Yeah.
Like if they arrest someone, they have their shit together.
Or they're kangaroo courting it up, one or the other. But
well, I mean,
those numbers are so high.
I think
possible, but
one of the issues here too is that, like, for a lot of these things, we've been aware of them for so many years.
Yeah.
And it's like, Biden, it was Biden's DOJ. Like they weren't going to go roll up Mark Milley, right?
Yep.
Or look into, they closed the case on Bolton, right? So it's like, you're right. It's only August still. It's not even September yet. So good word, Phil.
Like I said, I mean, I have the same impulses. I want to see people go to jail that have violated the law. I think that there's been tons of political prosecutions from the Democrats. There was a point that you made earlier. You were talking about, you think that the Democrats would come after possibly you. I think that if the Democrats get back into power, I think they will come after people like Joe Rogan. They'll come after people like Tim. They'll come after people all over the right, people that are influencers, because the influencers, they believe that the influencers are why they lost. They don't believe that their policies were bad. They don't believe that people rejected Kamala Harris because of her inability and her stunning lack of political skill. They believe that it was because influencers and people were lying and telling stories and all sorts of things. They believe that free speech is a bad thing. So I think that they will come after a lot of conservatives using whatever tools they have at their disposal, which the federal government has significant tools at their disposal. I mean, they'll come after as many people as they can.
What do you think about, and this is a little bit of a tangent, but I really want to talk about Gavin Newsom, because I think he saw what you're talking about, that it was the power of the communication of like podcasts and things that elevated, like Trump went on Rogan 2 weeks before the election, went on Theo Vaughn, huge exposure to a new crowd of people, or people that didn't quite know, maybe were on the fence. And Newsom saw that, so he's been doing podcast runs. I think he's going to be the Democratic nominee in 28.
He's willing it into action. He put it on his, his wish board. He's going to make it happen.
Okay, so it'd be him and J.D. Vance if things keep
you
flowing.
already see him going after J.D. Vance. There was this crazy thing this week where Gavin Newsom posted a picture of himself in high school versus Vance.
Oh, yeah.
And he looks like this prep school pretty boy with a really nice scarf. And J.D. Vance looks kind of like a fat, weird kid. And you're looking at it and you're like, I'd rather have the fat, weird kid than the guy with the pretty boy with the scarf.
Yeah, a couple of points on that. One is that I think Newsom will probably get it, but you have to remember.
I'm not so sure.
I was going to say, you have to remember that like so much of it has to go through the black vote, and particularly in the South. And are they going to go for Newsom or not? It was when Biden was struggling in the primary. Clyburn had to go drag his rear across the finish line in South Carolina to lock it up for him.
I'm not so sure that Clyburn will give the blessing to Gavin Newsom, and if Clyburn doesn't give him the blessing, he will not be the guy. First of all, second of all, I don't think that as well as anyone else that the Democrat Party has so many people that are very committed to the progressive agenda, to the whole woke thing. A white guy with that. I mean, if you've seen the pictures of his family, blonde family.
They don't really care about that. They only care about power.
No, the progressives that are the people that are going to be voting in the primary care. The people that are like your major Democrat
they have
voters.
No leader. I mean, the thing is, he's the
hold
only
on.
one.
They're going to. I think that he would have a significantly difficult time getting over that hump. He would need, and one of our guests that was here the other day made a great point. He would need someone like Crockett as the VP, which
Did
is
you see
kind
her
of
on
hilarious.
his podcast the other day?
No.
He had her on the other day, and he was praising her
Yeah.
and telling her how wonderful she
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
And
He
of
would.
course, she's awful. And she went out there saying that ICE are supposed to be Uber drivers for illegal immigrants,
Yeah,
and that's their whole job.
Insane.
She just got redistricted in Texas.
Well, she might be looking for a job, but if you have someone like Jasmine Crockett, then maybe he has a better chance. But I don't know if he can do it alone because the Democrat Party still has that civil war going on. Are they a normal party or are they the progressive party?
It seems like they failed. The progressive Democratic Party has failed and is shattered, and now Newsom's there to pick up the pieces. I don't think he's really a nut job.
But it hasn't yet.
It's like in the process, yeah.
It hasn't left behind the woke stuff. There's a massive fight in the Democrat Party about whether they are between the progressives and the liberals. Just the other day, someone Kayla, the not so erudite, was posting on X, and I thought it was a ridiculous thing that she said, but. She said that she had a clip of the woman and the black Republican guy and the radical progressive from Jubilee, and where the woman was doing all of the making all the intersectional arguments, and the conservative
And tone
kid,
policing
yeah,
and
the
everything.
conservative kid just ragdolled her. He just beat the snot out of her. And Kayla said something along the lines of, Democrats or liberals should have never agreed to this stuff. We don't agree to it, talking about the progressive ideology. We don't agree to it, and we should have never let these people get so loud. I personally think
They're going to elect Mom Donnie to lead New York City.
I personally think that statement is ridiculous. I think that she's saying that because there are so many people that have actually come out against woke. The Democrats have never had a worse or haven't had such a bad brand in 50 years or something like that. And I think that she's doing damage control. Because your average liberal absolutely was on board with all the progressive stuff. When they thought they were winning, they were all on board with it. It was very rare. There were very few. There were few, and maybe Kayla's one of them. I'm not familiar with her work, but there are very few people in the Democrat Party that were what you would consider regular liberals, not progressives, but regular liberals that were speaking up against the progressives because the progressives were so loud and so aggressive.
But that's what
and they would
progressives
call
do.
them all. They would call them all the names. They would call them racist, blah blah blah. If you tried to push back, so nobody had the balls to.
And
so
a lot of those people are now in the Republican Party, and they voted for Trump.
So the idea that the liberals weren't on board with it, I think, is totally ridiculous.
Some of the liberals were afraid of. They were voting against Trump, not necessarily for the psycho policies, and so those people now is the opportunity because there won't be Trump in 28. Obviously, it'll be Vance probably. And it's just a matter of, is Vance going to scare people? Like, I don't think he needs to.
It doesn't matter if Vance is going to scare people. The left is going to scare people. They were preparing the field for Vance to be considered worse than Donald Trump. The argument's going to be, look, Donald Trump was bad, but Donald Trump was a buffoon. J.D. Vance is much smarter. J.D. Vance went to I think he went to Harvard, right? He went to this elite the Ivy League school. J.D. Vance made a bunch of money in the tech world. He's much smarter. He's much more dangerous. He's worse than Trump.
Donald Trump was Hitler, but J.D. Vance is worse.
You know that they were doing it when...
Well, he's not Stalin. Like, they couldn't say that.
Hitler.
But they were doing that exact same thing when what's his name from Florida was running. DeSantis. They started laying the groundwork for DeSantis is worse than Trump and it was the same argument. Trump's a buffoon and DeSantis is smart. DeSantis is a lawyer. DeSantis is this. Trump, so he's
but none
worse
of this
than
has
Trump.
to do with Gavin Newsom. And you were saying that you think that the Democrats aren't going to go for Newsom because he's a white guy. And I think when the Democrats are in trouble, they always go back to the white guy because all of those liberal women who go out there and complain about everybody, they really just trust a white guy.
I think they have to figure out who they are as a party.
They are not going to figure that out. And when they do figure it out, it's going to be the far left. That's what they're going to go for. They're leaning towards Mamdani. They're leaning towards all that stuff. And that's why you see the big problem where Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, they're not endorsing Mamdani, but they're also not saying anything against him. Because they can't. They have to wait and see what happens in November.
The revolution never stops where you
Cuomo, they're
like
not going to. New Yorkers aren't going to go for Cuomo.
Of perpetual revolution, and so I mean, it's
they
going
didn't
to
used
continue.
to be. They didn't used to be. I mean, if the Democrats could actually go back to their, non-racist roots as, a party that is pro-union, where you can be a pro-life Democrat, where, you're pro-social safety net, but you're, like the 1986 liberals.
Well, no, I know what
1986
you're
liberals.
saying, but I mean, I don't
That's
see.
now what MAGA is.
That's 6
right?
feet underground on the left.
Well, it's what MAGA is, right? MAGA has taken that place. Like, you can be a pro-choice MAGA Republican. You can be that, right? You can't be the reverse of that on the left. It's just, it just doesn't exist.
I'm thinking a lot about parties, and I actually posted that the party doesn't make the man makes the party. And when you look at a political party, it doesn't matter what it's called. Who's in the party right now? That's what that party is. What are they saying? That's what that party is. And it can change from moment tomorrow. It might be a completely different party if we have 18 new people and 18 people leave. So keep that in mind.
I mean,
well, on that point, they released this whole list of words. I don't know if you saw this. They were like, here are words Democrats need to stop using, like birthing people and chest feeding and centering and Latinx.
Everything LGBTQIA was
holding
out
space.
listed.
The holding space. The point there is that if you're trying to like counsel your radical activists, and not even that radical, it's like pretty widespread throughout the party to stop using words like chest feeding and birthing people, like that's who the party is. I don't think their messaging discipline is going to change that.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think you're right, and that's my point. I think that the progressives are the actual heart and soul of the party now. I think that just like Libby was saying, like Democrats have left. Democrats came over to the MAGA side in large part. Now, there's some people that really, they have to hold their nose and vote for Donald Trump, but they still did. And I think that someone like J.D. Vance is probably less offensive than Donald Trump to those people. And I think that the Democrats are actually going to end up being the progressive party, and the old school, normal Democrats are actually going to evaporate.
Well, you guys saw the thing last night, right? In Virginia, Winsome Sears, lieutenant governor, she's running for governor. She was out there having a rally, and some people showed up to protest her. And this gray-haired white lady held up a sign, and it literally read, "Hey, Winsome's a black woman. Hey, Winsome, if trans can't share your bathroom, then blacks can't share my water fountain."
I saw that. And
Leave it to Democrats.
It was great because it gave me an opportunity to make this point with this theory that I have, which I think is 100% factual, as all my theories are, is that white, boomer, woke progressives are the only actual really racist people left in America.
And they're going around yelling at us about anti-racism all the time.
So they grew up sort of in the vestiges of like institutionalized racism to whatever degree it did exist in this country.
Well, there was Jim Crow. I mean, that stuff existed.
Yeah, right. But I mean, like after however much continued even in uninstitutionalized fashion. But anyway, these people, like, they actually don't like minorities, right? So it's like all your like 23-year-olds.
Well, they like them to do their lawns and houses.
Exactly. It's like, who's going to pick our crops? Like all the 23-year-old Zoomers who share like the racist memes, like those guys aren't actually racist. This lady who held the sign up is, right? Like she really actually is. And this gave her an opportunity to display it, finally one time again.
Have you heard of Nick Fuentes?
Well, yeah. I mean, I know Nick.
Because I know that man is actually racist.
Well, a lot of what Nick does is performand too. He mixes it up.
Maybe, but he's definitely racist.
I thought that this thing with this sign was really pretty amazing, because she hand lettered this sign. She had to write this down. She had to read it over and make sure there weren't any mistakes. She put American flags on either side of this sign so that everyone would know this is what she thought America was all about. And then she went out there in public and said that, transgender and gender ideology is the same thing as equality under the law for races, even though obviously all races have two sexes. There's no difference. There's no difference. And there are no rights that transgender people don't have. There are not any rights that transgender people don't have.
In fact, there are rights that they seem to have that nobody else has.
Has.
Like the right to go invade, an opposite gender, private space, bathroom, whatever.
Right. All kinds of weird stuff.
Special trans rights.
A lot of these problems will get solved when people stop using the phrase gender. Gender is a made-up thing. Sex is real. Gender is make-believe.
Yeah, since
well,
the 50s.
Of course, I mean, gender was created as a concept essentially by feminists, so that they could say that there were not innate roles that were specifically for women.
Yeah.
If you look at feminism in the 20th century, it caused this problem rather substantially. This problem would not exist
Gender, yeah.
otherwise.
Stop using the phrase gender. Gender isn't real. Sex is real. Biological sex is real. Men are men. Women are women. And all that other stuff is just mumbo jumbo to confuse you.
Yeah.
But we're going to jump to one quick story here at the end here. From NPR, Intel will give the U.S. government a 10% stake, says Trump. President Trump said on Friday he has asked Intel CEO Libby for a 10% stake in the company during a recent meeting at the White House. He agreed and they've agreed to it, and I think it's a great deal for them, Trump told reporters. He's walked in wanting to keep his job and ended up giving us $10 billion for the United States, Trump said.
So that means that the United States has 10% stake in Intel?
That's what it says.
That's fascism, by the way.
Is that sort of unprecedented? That seems a little crazy.
No, it's not unprecedented because of the fact that, I mean, you had
didn't
the
have a
US
stake in Ford or anything, or Boeing.
The GM, they did right after the 2008.
GM?
Yeah, they owned a bunch of
and
GM.
what about all the banks?
Yeah,
Didn't we do that with stupid
it's
banks?
not
Wasn't that
unprecedented.
the
And I think
corporations and buy them up.
Hold on, guys. The point of this, I think, and I haven't read this through yet, but I think the point of this is to do something to increase the United States access to chips that are necessary for national defense. Because right now there's tons of really complex chips that go into all kinds of missiles and all kinds of planes and all kinds of stuff. And the U.S. outsources that stuff to Taiwan, right? A lot of chips that are made in Taiwan. So if I understand correctly, this is because they want access to the semiconductor industry. So hold on a second. In a statement released on the company's website late Friday afternoon, Intel confirmed that the government would make a $8.9 billion investment in Intel common stock, reflecting the confidence the administration has in Intel to advance key national priorities and the critically important role the company plays in expanding the domestic semiconductor industry. So the point is, we need to have semiconductors built here for national defense, for all of the high-tech military assets that we have. So this is something that I've actually talked about a bit, and I've inquired with people. Should we have some kind of Manhattan Project style, program to shore up our semiconductor availability here in the U.S.? Because should China decide to take Taiwan, we are almost guaranteed, or we're almost required to help them because of national security, right? You have to engage in a war, because if we don't have the ability to provide the semiconductors that we need, not just for our phones or whatever, but for actual necessary things for national security, for military planes, for anti-air systems, for missiles and stuff like that. Those things are necessary.
If it comes
Fascism would be if they took the whole company.
Yes,
it would be, but it starts with 10%.
Right, but
well, no, I don't think so. I think it's when the government and the corporations collude to take power.
That's oligarchy.
but that's not, and it's not. They're not
Oligarchies when
colluding.
there's a small group of wealthy men.
They're not. They're not colluding to take power. This isn't
The power is 10% stock in Intel.
But the point is, it's the government working with the company in order to be able to produce the things necessary that the government, the thing the government needs.
So I'm not saying fascism is evil. Some fascism is good. And in a way, this might be a very good thing, because if it comes to life and death, I'll take fascism and survival over not fascism and death. And if it means that we need to step up our government needs to take control of the private company to make weapons for our survival, that's an argument I'm willing to hear.
10% stake is not taking control.
It's the first step, though.
Okay, but that's
a different. That's a question of if there's going to be another step. 10% is not.
The point of that is giving them money. Right? That's what they did. They gave Intel money so that way Intel could expand in the U.S.
But they just printed $8 billion and gave it to them?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, that's not the word. Maybe I'm with you on the superconductor. I mean, we need chip production in the United States. And we need to step on it and get it going. We need to put the gas on that.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I think there's a couple industries that the U.S. needs to really put some effort into. I think when it comes to energy creation, I think nuclear. I think that, possibly solar. I'm not against solar power. I think that in the future, it's probably going to be more common.
Also, piezoelectric. Have you followed that much? They've just developed these walkways that charge in Tokyo. Yeah.
They walk on them. Yeah.
It's just the stress, the tension creates electricity.
Yeah, that's great for helping.
Shoes.
That's great for helping municipalities and stuff like that. But I'm thinking of stuff like I'm thinking the stuff that would be able to
Explosive force.
not so much that. I'm thinking of stuff that would be able to run, data processing centers, things that AI is going to need, because the U.S. isn't going to be in an arms race with AI, with other countries over AI, because AI could possibly be a revolutionary technology that makes other countries' military assets almost useless. So that's possible. But what do you guys think? Do you think this is a good idea? Do you think at this price point, do you think it's a smart move? Do you guys have an idea about it?
I mean, there's no doubt that making sure that we have reduced dependence on supply chains that could be easily threatened or weaponized against us, whether it's in the chase, like we have, supply chain dependence on China for a whole host of different things. This was exposed during the pandemic. We rely on chip production in Taiwan, which is in a very vulnerable region. And, there's been some really good work being done by Elbridge Colby on the Taiwan issue in particular, and trying to get like Pacific allies to step up to the plate on that. So that's important. Maybe this is a part of that strategy. I'm going to pull Donald Trump. You're just now telling me this for the first time. So, it does seem odd to me. It seems odd. I trust it's not illegal, that we're purchasing, investment in a company. It does feel a little bit like picking winners and losers, but
Intel was already kind of a winner.
Maybe Intel is the only game in town. And if that's the case, then this is what we do.
Wasn't there also stopping them from selling chips to China? Wasn't that a thing?
There are certain chips that no one can sell to China.
Yeah.
So like Nvidia, which there's Nvidia is already the winner. Like lately in the past 5 years, Nvidia has been absolutely crushing anyone.
Intel, I have no idea.
And I don't think $10 billion for Intel is going to boost up Intel to the capacity that Nvidia has. Nvidia has been just crushing when it comes to chip manufacturing. So I don't think that it's actually picking winners and losers. I do get the feeling that this is just about securing access to chips made here in the U.S. But yeah, I think that, personally, I think that it's a good thing, because the U.S. needs to have the ability to produce chips for our national defense.
As long as these jobs aren't going to be given to H-1B visas.
Well,
so if we're building chips in the United States of America, we darn well better make sure that the jobs are going to American citizens.
I agree. I think that personally, I think the whole H-1B visa program should be ended for a decade at least. So
normally the government would subsidize the industry, and then Intel would reap the rewards, maybe $9 billion in tax, write-offs or something. So the idea that the government bought stake in a private company with my money is very strange. Unprecedented, as are a lot of things.
It's not unprecedented though, because
what happened before?
So they bought in us. They basically, when they bailed out GM,
they bought GM
in 2008, right after the
seized the means of production.
There was a bunch of banks they bought.
Lehman Brothers.
Yeah, this is not unprecedented at all.
What did they buy it and liquidate it?
No, they just gave them money.
I think Ian's right though. Like, it's a little bit different in that this is a proactive measure being taken to sort of accelerate a positive development versus a reactive measure being taken to ameliorate a disaster.
How do you think?
Right?
How
so
different?
Those are two different things.
How different in your mind is this to the Manhattan Project?
Well, so you had brought up the Manhattan. It was funny because Ian was like, "This is fascism," and then you're like, "Manhattan Project," and Ian's like, "Yes, we need it." So I was like trying to track. Like the Manhattan Project, it was a different thing. That wasn't the United States heavily investing in one particular company. It was a collaboration to solve like sort of a critical civilizational issue with heavy government investment in a project, like in a government project, right? So this is, it's just, those are two different things.
Wouldn't this be significantly less impactful? Like the $10 billion to a company that already exists, as opposed to literally bootstrapping the technology, the infrastructure, and the weapon itself.
Yeah, but the difference here is the Manhattan Project was fundamentally federal funding for a federal project. This is federal investment in a private company.
Okay.
So that's sort of the difference.
So for me, at least from my perspective, the way that I see it, I feel like it's a much smaller effort than something like the Manhattan Project, right?
I have no idea what the price tag was on the Manhattan Project.
Wow.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
Out.
I don't know. I don't mind it. I don't mind the investment in Intel. If if the stated goals are these AI race things and whatever else, I don't think I mind it very much.
I've been deeply concerned about Taiwan. That's for sure. So, I mean, I see the solution they're aiming at.
The adjusted for inflation, the Manhattan Project was $35.4 billion. So
Over how long?
A lot of money to build
Only
a
a
bomb.
couple of years,
yeah,
wasn't
a couple
it?
years. Yeah, it is a lot of money to build a bomb, but they had to invent the technology. You know, it was $2 billion back in 1940.
That's what has to happen now, right? Like technology has to be invented and
Which would be AI. The government could. So
Well, that's what the chips are. Part of what the chips are for,
yeah,
I
that's the
imagine.
whole thing.
and then maybe they are
Chips
working
pow-
on a.
chips power everything. I mean,
Yeah.
the world runs on semiconductors.
And again, I don't think that like the government shouldn't be making chips just for like they shouldn't be investing in Intel so that we have chips to run iPhones, right? They should be investing in if they're investing in Intel, the chips should be exclusively for military uses for anti-air missiles, for
Maybe that's
cruise
what's
missiles.
going on.
Yeah, that to me that's why it's acceptable because look, man, I don't need the government to put $8 billion into Intel so that way my microwave can connect to the internet, right? I don't care about
yeah, I
my
definitely don't. I have no appliances that talk.
yeah,
you know.
I don't need.
I
We
would
don't
pay
need
extra for
We
that.
don't need to make sure that the Roombas are safe, right? We need to make sure that the F-35s can fly, that the F-22s can fly, that cruise missiles can work, that we have the ability to defend the United States and our interests,
Electrical
right?
grids stay up.
Pardon
I
me?
don't
Electrical
disagree
grids
with
don't
any
go
of
down
those-
if they stay up.
any of those goals. I mean, maybe it's not unprecedented. I don't know. Maybe there's been other times where we've proactively invested in a certain company to help procure a particular outcome. But
Yeah.
Well, we've also done things like NASA, right? So NASA is a massive public enterprise, and without it, we would have no private space companies. Like we're the only country that has private space companies. That's pretty baller, right?
Yeah.
And without the investment that we put into NASA, that would there'd be no SpaceX, there'd be no whatever Jeff Bezos's one is, what Blue Origin. There wouldn't be any of that stuff without that major investment. So I do think that there is a place for a government investment to boost industry and things. I just think that a lot of it has to be done with a mind toward what the marketplace wants. Like Joe Biden's EV charging stations all across the country, that was a bad idea. And there weren't that many of them, just like Kamala Harris's EV buses, that broke and no school districts wanted them.
Was that all done through subsidy?
Yeah, that was all done through executive orders and subsidies and mandates and all kinds of things like that. So it wasn't like it was like the government put out RFPs for contracts and then, awarded contracts.
All right, we're gonna go to Super Chat. So why don't you guys smash the like button, share the show with everyone you know, head on over to rumble.com and become a member there so you can join us for the after show, which is not tonight because it's Friday, but Monday through Thursday we do an after show. It's available on rumble.com. It's uncensored. We can say the things on Rumble that we can't say on YouTube. Then you should head on over to timcast.com where you can become a member there. Join our Discord so that way you can call into the after show. You can ask the panel. You can talk. You can ask questions of the guest. You can find like-minded people. You can watch the podcasts that have started in the Discord. Maybe you'll meet your girlfriend. Maybe you'll make some babies. Who knows? That's happened a couple
Maybe
times.
meet your boyfriend.
No, yeah, or your boyfriend. But right now we're going to read some super chats. The Cleaner 47129 just said, "Just welcomed my son, third child, to the world today. I figured I would continue the tradition of announcing on Timcast. Thank you very much, sir.
Third son, man.
Congratulations.
That's awesome, dude.
Make more." We are very big fans of babies here at Timcast. We want to see you guys have a happy family and a happy life, and babies tend to make people happy. So congratulations.
Yeah, and as you get older, you'll notice the adults will start to die off in your life, and like if you don't have the younger generation there, it's kind of lonely.
Sovereign Fish says, "Unsubbed until Phil Lobotomy is no longer on the show. Dude's a total clown show. Here's $10. Do a trick, clown." Thanks for the $10.
It's a good click you made with your mouth.
Ian's on. Yoder says Ian's on tonight. Hope he talks about graphene.
I didn't yet, but when we were talking about industrializing through government purchasing of companies, I wonder if they're going to start buying graphene companies.
Jesse Hughes says William Wolfe, the most based Baptist I know. So you got some fans out there.
Didn't even get into religion much, too.
I mean, you were saying crazy things that I didn't really have a chance to set you straight on it.
We told you.
Disavow.
We told you.
I get
You
ya.
sat down. We were like, Ian's going to say some crazy stuff. And you're like, what do you mean? Like, you'll see.
Get ready.
He's my favorite.
I'll talk to you after he.
Cal says, big fan, first super chat. Per tradition, I'm here with my wife who's working on bringing our daughter into the world. Thanks for helping us stay informed enough to hopefully make the world a better place for her. Go Tim Crew. Cheers.
awesome.
Thank you very much for the super chat. Congratulations and best wishes to your wife and to your daughter. And if this is not your first, great. If it's your first, make more. Raymond G. Stanley says, holy moly, John Bolton got raided. We need to do a wellness check on Elad. Bolton bros unite. I'm hearing through the grapevine that Elad's mustache is quivering in fear.
We wanted to make Elad and John Bolton the thumbnail, but a little too.
It's okay. Like the Family Guy. It's okay. Did they hurt you? Oh, it's okay. Let's see. Alec Pitt says Bolton lied about WMDs in Iraq. Yeah.
Fact check, true.
So did Colin Powell.
Yeah.
Did he, or was he given fake information that he repeated?
He was given fake information about the yellow cake, and then he had to go before the UN and apologize.
Okay.
That must have been really humiliating for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, because saying something that's untrue that you think is real is different than lying.
Yeah, no, I think that's true.
Daniel the Master McCullen says, Phil, in my opinion, as an American-born trucker, you're wrong about trucks. Most people can drive a truck forward, but few can back them up. Sucks that illegals ruin it for the actual hard-working, legit drivers. Look, man, I agree about it sucks that illegals have ruined it for the American hard-working truck drivers. I agree totally. I've spent a lot of time, driving on the roads because of touring and stuff, and the bus is, 45 foot and stuff. So I get what you're saying. And I've noticed the difference when you stop at truck stops to fuel up. You see a lot of people that are not native born Americans or that don't speak English or whatever. And that's a massive problem. We need people in the United States that are working and that are doing things like driving 18-wheelers. Like, they need to be able to speak English. So it's good that the Trump administration is cracking down on this. Hopefully they are as brutal about it as I want them to be, because I think all of these people that are here on visas that can't speak English, like, if you can't speak English, you should not be driving a truck. You shouldn't have a CDL.
Well, that guy couldn't even read the highway signs.
How can you get a CDL license if you can't speak?
You go to California.
Oh,
But
right,
it turns out that in California, was it California?
Okay, speaking of California,
No, it turns out that there was a bribery scheme going on. So there was a guy who was paying. No, seriously.
Yeah.
There was a guy who was
third world behavior,
paying someone off,
right?
paying
Bribery
another
schemes,
company, paying the testing company off to pass failing students.
Yeah, you're 100% right. The idea that you can just pay
In
someone.
Oregon and Washington.
Yeah,
the
we don't
idea
do that in America.
In America, if you try to give a police officer money when they pull you over, you should go to jail.
Yeah, that
right?
should not be okay.
But in other countries, it's normal. It's what you do. You give the police officer money, and then they let you go, and you don't have to deal with all the stuff you have to give. Whatever the police. I don't know what it costs to bribe a cop, but that's something that's normal all over the world. It's normal in Russia. It's normal in all over South America, like
Africa.
That's just the way that it is. So it's special and unique and something that we need to try to make sure that remains about America. Like, that is not acceptable behavior here. You can't just give someone money and they'll go ahead and say, okay, well, we'll let you through even though you can't do it. And that's what's going on. And like you said, it's third world behavior. And it's because we have so many people that are here from countries and from cultures that are so different from our country. And this is part of the point that I was making earlier about, like, you can't just give people freedom, right? Like, cultures are different, and what is acceptable behavior is different from culture to culture. Right. Here we are, like, I know this is maybe it's you can call it chauvinism or whatever, but in my opinion, America is the best country in the world, and part of the reason is because we can rely on other Americans to not do things like accept bribes and allow people
to. Yeah,
I think
we have to again.
You can't give people freedom, but you can give them the keys, which is English. Right now in modern culture.
You mean like the language of English?
Yeah, if you learn the language, you have the keys to freedom, basically, in the modern day.
Okay. Clank Clank I'm a Tank says, will you guys talk about the UK and Operation Raise the Colors? Cities that can't pay to collect garbage suddenly have money to cover up patriotic acts. We have, man. We were talking
about it earlier.
Painting the English flag in potholes so that way the magistrate will come and cover them up. What a ridiculous thing. The idea that you have to wear a mask to fly the flag of your own country. And I didn't see it yesterday, but I saw something today where there was a protest. People that were immigrants to England were protesting, and they had a big problem with the fact that people were flying the English flag. And the reason is because they're like, oh, this offends me. It's like, then get the F out, man. Like, this is our country.
Absolutely crazy. And the promotion of the...
perfect. Yeah, bring it up.
I just want to show this as well. I've been seeing it happen a lot. A lot of people are posting about it's happening in Ireland. It's been happening even in Germany. People in Scotland are flying the St. Andrews flag. If it's happening across in the continent and within Germany and stuff like that, it's spreading. And if this is an incident I found as well, which apparently happened in York last night. It says that a Muslim gang viciously attacked locals over raising the flags, being St. George's flag, and then also, of course, the Union Jack. Police swarmed the area off Commerce Street Post with the incident because that's what they would do. Everyone's seen all this stuff about Tommy Robinson and how he said that he wants to. I think it was like other special forces guy posted something about September 13th, and then Tommy Robinson. Obviously, the UK government doesn't like that guy. We're talking about it, so we're definitely talking about it. It's big news.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've seen a lot of commentary about the state of England, right, and whether they're gone, and I know that they're not. I have to believe that they're not. So if you're watching this, to our English brothers and fathers, on the 4th of July, it's all about America. But for the rest of the year, we are rooting for you to wake up and take your country back.
I mean, our language is English. Talk about a bond with England. We are one people with different governments at the moment.
I mean, the United States, in my opinion, the United States is the fruition of the promise that was begun with the Magna Carta.
Well, James Joyce, who was an Irish novelist, he said the English gave us their language and we taught them how to use it. And I feel like the English gave us the concept of freedom and we taught them what it means.
Yeah, true. So yes, Clank, we do talk about it. We totally agree. Like this cannot stand. England needs to be English, and the English people need to stand up and assert their rights.
The Europeans.
Yeah, the Europeans.
If the king's floundering and not doing it, that's why self-determinance is so important and self-governance, because you can't rely on the old guy every day,
Yeah.
Wyatt Claytonberg says, do a culture war with ex and current congressmen who want to reopen 9/11. Can you help people get... I can help you get people.
Yeah.
Kook Alex Jones muddy the water so much, people won't touch it, but the San Diego story needs told. I mean,
the San Diego story.
I don't know.
I'm not sure either.
And I mean, I know Ian would like to be in on that conversation.
What's it about? What's the topic?
9/11?
Yeah. I interviewed Richard Gage. He's been architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth.
Kook Alex Jones muddy the waters. Hey, buddy.
He started an organization that was just really, really, really effective at pushing out, information about 9/11 that wasn't presented in the NIST, the original government explanation, let's say. But that's a whole other conversation. Yeah, bring me on for that one.
Okay.
In fact, if we could get Richard Gage for that, that'd be fascinating.
Shane H. Wilder said Senator Carol Alvarado will filibuster the redistricting bill hearing tonight. Texas rules state she can have no food or drink and must remain standing, but she's used a catheter before and went 15 hours. Gross.
That is gross.
Gross.
Also, sounds painful.
Yeah, gross. And thank you for that information, Shane. Gross. Sailor Motoko says, at home recovering from a second hospital stay with diverticulitis. Boy, that is an awful situation. I've got diverticulosis. I had diverticulitis once, man. That put me down for a while.
What do you do?
He says, thank God this time it wasn't complicated, and as soon as I'm back to 100%, I'll be getting the affected part of my colon cut out. Yeah. Best of luck, man. Best of luck.
What do you do to get it under control? Is it just like inflammation of the colon?
I took. They gave me antibiotics, and I
had it's like an infection that causes inflammation.
Yeah, well, itis, inflammation. So, but yeah, I mean, I was down for a week. Like I was rough. And when I came back to work a little too early too, because I was a little loopy on when I came back. I was like, man, maybe I shouldn't.
Antibiotics make you loopy.
Yeah, I was like, maybe I shouldn't be talking about politics tonight. So I didn't say anything too crazy, but I felt it. I was like, let's see. Omega Rasu says, Ian doesn't understand. Satanic is a bastardization of the Hebrew word ha-shatan, which means the opposition, which presumes anything that opposes spirituality, religion, Yahuwah, Christians conflate.
Oh.
Yahweh.
It's an interesting way to look at it. It makes for a very exclusive way to worship, though.
Well, that's sort of the key tenet of Christianity.
Isn't it accepting, though, of other ways?
No. I mean, Jesus said, "I am the way,
But he was a Jew.
the truth." Sure,
So?
of course he
So
was.
a Jew was the way?
You can, yeah.
Well,
You,
he was the fulfillment of the Old Testament.
why
He was the
wouldn't we
fulfillment
be
of the
Jewish?
Old promise.
there are
Because he came down and created the New Testament. That was the new agreement.
It was a
between
new
them.
covenant.
He wouldn't have,
Covenant.
he was Jewish. He would have told you to be Jewish.
Hey, there are there are messianic Jews as well. There are Jewish people,
Yeah,
Jews that believe that Christ was the savior, and
That's true.
They still retain their Jewishness. They still do things that the Old Testament says, like, and they'll still act
Like everyone should have Seder before Easter. You know,
Really?
we should all have that on Holy Thursday.
okay.
What's
Yeah, and you should read
Passover.
the book of Galatians. It's just
true.
a few short chapters.
point.
Paul takes this question head on. Just read the book of Galatians in your New Testament.
Okay.
Yeah. Good idea.
By the way, the
you should
turning
read it
water
out
wine
loud.
is epic.
You should read it out loud on stream and post it to your X page.
Galatians. That's a good
Galatians,
idea.
yeah.
Okay.
Jay Stewart says CAG had a holdover for Guatemala, not El Salvador. His lawyers are lying to the public and need to be brought before the bar. Time these liars defend their license instead of being allowed to walk away scot-free. Okay.
True. Kilmar
Fair enough.
Garcia.
Yeah, Kilmar Abrego Garcia.
In case anyone missed that line there.
Let's see. Bright Results Media is a member for 30 months, and he says, "Good to see you, Libby. Hope you cover some of these days Tim is missing. Best wishes, everybody."
I have also been sick.
Yeah.
I was
For
too.
like over a month. It's been brutal.
Everyone's been sick.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It drive me out.
But
like
thanks
crazy.
for the shout out.
Yeah, true.
Libby's wonderful. So, let's see.
Thanks for being a member for 30 months.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
It's an oddly specific time mark, but it's good for him.
That's what it said.
Yeah.
Unite Glue said the guys from China, Fact Chasers and the China Show, might be great guests for any of the shows you guys do. They lived in China for years and cover nothing but news coming out of China every day. That's a really good YouTube channel.
True, yeah.
The China Show you guys should follow them on YouTube. They're good
Great.
stuff.
I follow a lot of that stuff. I went to high school in Singapore, so I'm very, very aware of China and its impact in the world. And I like their stuff.
What do you think?
I'll try and have them on the show.
What do you think about the mandate of heaven?
The mandate of heaven is a concept where the Chinese people kind of decide who is going to be their leader based upon like just the average happenings within China. It's an idea of like if you lose the mandate, if you do something that like tarnishes your honor or the honor of China as a whole, then you will no longer be the person who rules China. It's happened a couple of times across numerous dynasties within China. If the CCP is just viewed as, if you think about the CCP, they're just another dynasty. And if the dynasty loses like the mandate of heaven, then they're no longer fit to rule China, and the Chinese people will then overthrow them. It's happened many times.
Trump said he wants to go to heaven, and I was like, I think the road to heaven runs through China.
Interesting.
Well, he's I thought that was really interesting because he was saying, I haven't always been the best guy, and maybe if I can stop all this killing, that would help me out.
Yeah. I know
It was interesting. So, okay, we have a second to talk about that real quickly because
We have a second.
Trump obviously got lambasted years ago when he said, I've never asked for forgiveness. Right. And again, I'm a theological, conservative Christian. I don't believe in works-based salvation, right? Like I believe that it's the free gift of grace in Jesus Christ for all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. But to hear that from Trump, to me, it's like saying I'm low on the totem pole. It sounded humble. It's like he's like inarticulate in his expression of sort of a change in his spiritual posture. And that's not how you get into heaven. But, the fact that you want to go to heaven and you realize that you have shortcomings is sort of the first step in realizing you need a savior.
Getting shot in the ear will change you.
Yeah.
I wonder who told him that he was low on the totem pole. That was a weird.
I
just
think-
being
I
humble.
think-
Tell me
I
I'm
think
not-
I think he probably just perceived that himself.
All right, so
Let's just read the one right here.
yeah, we got one more from Gabe Hernandez. Hey, all. Keep my friend Talarna in your prayers. She's in the ICU with a rare form of E. coli. She's a wildland fighter in Montana and spent her birthday in the hospital. GoFundMe is Aid Talara Gregorich's ICU recovery. That's Aid Talara, Telara, Gregorich, Gregoриchs. Or CH' ICU recovery. If you got some spare change and you want to help a firefighter out, go ahead and go to that GoFundMe.
All the best.
But right now, I want you to smash the like button, share the show with everyone you know. Head on over to Rumble, become a member there. Head to timcast.com and join our Discord. William Wolfe, do you have anything you want to shout out?
Yeah, thanks for having me on again today, folks. Make sure to follow us at Baptist Leaders. That's my organization's Twitter handle. Subscribe to our podcast on YouTube, Center for Baptist Leadership. We are working to revitalize the nation's largest Protestant denomination, the last conservative theological bulwark here in the United States of America, to hopefully make America Christian again. So check us out at the Center for Baptist Leadership.
Oh, I wanted to debate great works getting you into heaven as well as great thoughts.
Have me come back. Let's do it.
Man, that'd be a great thing. Good to see you, William.
There's no debate. Jesus was pretty clear.
Yeah, but if you don't do the work,
but-
then you can't create a system for people like Jesus to appear.
What?
Okay, so now, Ian, on top of Galatians, you need to go read the book of James.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks for everybody for coming. I'm Ian Crossland. You can follow me at Ian Crossland on the internet, YouTube, Twitter, everywhere. Just follow me at Ian Crossland. Happy to be here. Take it away, Lib.
I'm Libby Emmons. You can find me on Twitter at Libby Emmons. You can check out what we're doing at thepostmillennial.com and humanevents.com. And I would love it if you subscribe to my newsletter, which is thepostmillennial.com/Libby. You can put your email in there, and you should also check out our sponsor, which is newsquiz.io.
And
I'm going to be doing the Discord pre-show on Monday.
Okay.
6 p.m. It's with Slick Sith. So come join us on Discord in the Timcast Discord. I'll see you there at 6 p.m. on Monday.
I am Phil That Remains on Twix. The band is All That Remains. You can check the band out on Apple Music, Amazon Music, Pandora, Spotify, Deezer, and YouTube. Don't forget the Left Lane is for Crime. We will see clips all weekend long, and we will be back here on Monday. I believe Tim will be back. If not, it will be Tate in the morning, and I will be here doing IRL on Monday evening. But I think that Tim will be back in the studio. So we will see you guys Monday.